sure that we kind of hit all three of them. So yes, I was kind of debating whether this was worth doing or not because of the fact that it's not the strongest of cards, but I have so enjoyed these shows. I think they've been really, really fun. I've enjoyed the previous 2 weeks, and so it makes a lot of sense to come back, spend Saturday night with you guys covering AAA. So with that being said, let's kind of start where we normally start, and that is by jumping over, going full screen, having a look at a bit of a preview. So there are three things that are coming up on today's show. The Rey De Reyes. So we've got Vikingo. He is going to be calling out Penta. So Vikingo calls out Penta tonight. Now, I don't know when that match is going to be made for, but Vikingo against Penta with that Intercontinental Championship, we are expecting that to be a match that gets made very, very soon. So Vikingo calls out Penta. Then we've got what might be the main event. This is going to be Laredo Kid defending the Cruiserweight Championship against Jack Cartwheel, against Dragon Lee, and also against TJ Perkins. So TJ Perkins, who was the winner of the Cruiserweight Classic in WWE, going all the way back to like 2016, going back 10 years ago now. He won the Cruiserweight Classic all the way back then. Jack Cartwheel, very exciting emerging talent. Jack Cartwheel, someone that's on our radar. Certainly if you join us on a Wednesday and you watch Evolve with us. Dragon Lee, everyone knows about Dragon Lee. And Laredo Kid has made quite a name for himself. This should be one of those classic AAA matches. It's just going to be so much fun. It's just going to be so much action. It's going to be really enjoyable stuff. So yeah, looking forward to that. So that should be a banger. This should be good. Vikingo calling out Penta. Lots of opportunity for things to go down there. That should be really good. Should be a really fun AAA match. And this one, genuinely, I don't know anything about. This is El Fiscal taking on Abismo. And this is a match that I've seen no build for. I don't know anything about. So I'm kind of interested to see these two in action. But yeah, I mean, it does feel like this week we're just missing like this massive main event. It does feel like this week we're missing like some big juicy main event to get our teeth into. I kind of feel like week one we were spoiled. Week two was fun, but it didn't really have the star power. It didn't really have like, you know, felt like it was missing a big main event. Instead, we just had El Grande receiving his Rey De Reyes swords. That's what we did last Saturday. And then, of course, tonight we've got these things. So I expect the show to go about an hour. Here in the UK, the start time is really strange. It's showing on YouTube at starting at 3, but we've got our clocks changing tonight. So I think that this is why I've started at this time, because it's all going to get a bit messy. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll just do the best that we can and take it from there. I wanted to start with a comment as well, though, whilst we jump back over. I wanted to start with a comment from Kapata. Kapata, hello, my friends. Kapata said, throwing some love to you, Days. Haven't spoke to you in a minute. Hope you're doing well. Are we enjoying the product lately? Do we think Danhausen gets a match at WrestleMania or a spot? Kapata, shout out to you, buds. Am I enjoying the product lately? I would say it's a mixed bag. I think Raw is pretty consistent with being a very good show. NXT is hit and miss. You never quite know what you're going to get out of that. There's some stuff there that frustrates. I've found myself getting very frustrated with Zarya Soul, for example. But then there's things that I really enjoy, which is like Fatal Influence. I can watch JC, I can watch Laney, I can watch Fallon, I can watch them as a group. I just enjoy it. I like that group a lot. Obviously, we're sort of doing a little bit of a rebuild. So, you know, we're kind of leaning into Miles Bourne as a mid-card champion. And, you know, we're kind of looking at bringing through a few people in NXT like Sean Legacy, like Keanu Carver, trying to do a bit more with Jasper Troy. We've got a few things that we're working on. We just brought up Vanity Project. We got new tag champs in Vanity Project. So yeah, it's a hit and miss at the moment with NXT, but it's going through a bit of a transitional period. And then I just think SmackDown, if you was to take away the Cody Randy stuff, I think it would really, really struggle. I think it would really, really struggle. So far, SmackDown on Cage Match has got a 1.8 rating out of 10. Now, they only had 30-odd feedback, so, we can't really read too much into that. So I certainly wouldn't get, carried away. But, the general consensus is that it was a bad episode. A lot of people online are saying it was a bad episode. The feedback we had from you lot was that it was a bad episode. So I can't sit here and say everything is killing it. I think Raw is the best of the three brands right now, but WWE has certainly got a few problems, certainly got a few issues that they're going to need to iron out, and I'm not sure how they can iron those out, to be honest with you. I don't know how they can kind of resolve some of these things, because we're kind of locked in, aren't we? As we said, I think we know where we're going. We know what WrestleMania is going to look like, and we're just sort of locked in towards getting towards that. So it's just going to be what it's going to be. I do think that WrestleMania is going to be good, though. I'm feeling pretty good about that. I don't think this is going to be a bad Mania. I think that the build is one thing, but then by the time we get to the actual day, that's when we, can get our teeth into the actual matches. And I think Stephanie Liv should deliver. I think Drew Jacob should deliver. I think Cody will deliver. I think CM Punk Roman is going to deliver. I look at the cards, Becky AJ, I think, will be good. And it'll be great to see what AJ Lee's entrance is going to be. There's going to be loads of those kinds of elements there as well. So, I look at the card as being not bad. I think we could tweak it. If it wasn't for injuries, then we might have a different card, right? But you could probably change a couple of things. But by and large, it looks okay, yeah. So that's kind of where I am. In regards to Danhausen, will he have a match? Well, Danhausen is someone that I don't think needs a match. He needs a presence. He is a growing superstar. You see, the thing is, Danhausen is popular because he puts curses on people. And, he comes out and goofs around, does little goofy backstage things. I know people want to see him wrestle, but I don't think that's his strength. His wrestling is not what his popularity is based on. It's a little bit like R-Truth. People love R-Truth, but it's not because he's a wizard in the ring. So, yeah, of course, Danhausen is going to have matches. You could do a little spontaneous thing at WrestleMania, but I certainly wouldn't be doing anything sizable. To be honest, I'd be more interested in using him for reading out the attendance or fun little backstage moment. He definitely has to feature, but I don't know that results in it being in a match. So yeah, but he has been a bright spot, honestly. Some of his segments have been some of the best received segments since came in at Elimination Chamber. So, Kapata, good to see you again, bud. Welcome back. Glockness said, is this free to watch or do we need to subscribe to something? No, it should be on YouTube. It's been on YouTube the past couple of weeks. So I believe it's been on YouTube for America, for Europe. It's only if you're in South America that it airs on Fox. Edwards, hello, shout out to you. Days from Truth Nightclub, hope you're well. Oh, what, you're in a nightclub? I'm not drunk yet. I've been drinking since 4. Jeez. Hope you're well. Show should be good. Much love. Edwards, joining us from a nightclub. So, I hope you're having a good time, dudes. That's crazy. That's crazy that you can get reception. Sometimes I get in nightclubs and most times my phone is completely dead. Nathan said, I've been enjoying watching AAA since it was purchased by WWE. My favorite wrestler is La Parka. I remember the original wrestler in WCW. Yeah, this is a different one. This is a different wrestler, as I'm sure you know. But, it's still got the good vibes. So it's been a good show, and it's been a well-booked show as well, to be honest. Alex said, what time does the AAA show start tonight? Well, it says that it starts at 10 Eastern. So 10 Eastern, add 5 hours to that, means that it's going to be about 3 UK time, right? But the thing is that here in the UK, our clocks go forward soon. So at the moment, it's coming up, it's saying it's like 25 past midnight in the UK. But pretty soon, that's going to skip forward an hour. So I was kind of looking at it, trying to work it out myself. This is a very confusing one because of the clocks changing literally as we're streaming. The clocks will change here in the UK. So I was having to do that kind of maths myself. Bottom line, 10 Eastern. If you're in America, it's 10 Eastern. So I'm thinking that it should be in about an hour and a half. That's my guess. If my maths have mathed, then that's my guess. Danhausen should wrestle like Arn Anderson. Move for move, said Mr. Unfamiliar. Mr. Unfamiliar, I hope you're well. William said it's the Gargano match this past NXT. I called for a match like this. It was weird. I think things up that I want to see and then it happens, says William. Mr. Dell Jr., hello. Said, Days, I know that I say this each week, but I miss the days you used to do boxing UFC. I love wrestling, but the variety made me fall in love with the channel. Yep. Well, we've covered it, haven't we? There's not really much I can say other than it's changed and it's had to change because WWE now do shows on a Saturday when probably when you first discovered this channel, WWE was still doing their shows on a Sunday. So that meant that we were free on Saturdays to do boxing, to do UFC. And we did a big run of those where we could, kind of do those shows. But then that's gone. That's over. Those days are dead. And sadly, the channel has had to move with the new schedule, which I don't like. I would love for it to go back. But WWE now with Saturday night's main events and Saturday PLEs and, Rey De Reyes. I mean, our Rey De Reyes a couple of weeks ago did about 40,000 views, which blew my mind. I was absolutely not expecting it to do that kind of attention. I didn't expect it to get that kind of, that many people joining us. So it's one of those, we're primarily a wrestling channel, so I have to focus on primarily that. But if there is a week where there is nothing, then, I will be interested still in boxing and UFC. I still love it exactly the same. It's just the change in schedule means we can't do what we used to be able to do. Car, hello, said Days, how are you? I can't wait for AAA tonight. Mr. Iguana, Lola Vice against Aleister Black and Zelina should happen. That would be great. That would be good. I would definitely be down for that. So, yeah, I agree. I'd like to see that. Mr. Unfamiliar said, what's the favourite Danhausen matches that we saw whilst watching AEW back in the day? I don't remember any Danhausen matches, honestly. To me, he's not someone that I have ever watched for his wrestling. This is why I'm not calling for him to have matches. For me, wrestling is not his strength. It's not what gets presented. I remember him being a lot on the outside of the rings with his curses, backstage stuff in AAA. So yeah, for me, he is someone that shines doing what he is doing. He's very good at being this sort of gobbledygooker type character. So we've said this before, that the gobbledygooker I read was meant to be a bit of a mascot for WWE. So the plan was that the gobbledygooker was going to come out the egg at Survivor Series, and then he was going to be at house shows and live events, meeting kids, and, just kind of being a character within the universe. They didn't have a plan for him to be a wrestler, but they wanted to bring him in because he was going to be great for meet and greets and great for just wandering around and pictures being taken with him. And I sort of feel like Danhausen is kind of in that role where he just goes backstage and, we'll talk about the fact his face is not on the side of the trucks and that becomes a social media clip. And then he's signing Cody Rhodes's pictures, thinking that they're pictures of him. I don't know why he didn't check them, but he's signing pictures thinking they're pictures of him, and then he looks down, sees they're Cody ones, and that becomes a little clip on social media. I mean, honestly, he could wander around as people are making their way in and just have fun with the fans and pose for pictures and just kind of be that role. For me, that's his true value. That's where you're going to get the most out of him, because in this day and age, social media is so important, and kind of engagement, online presence, all of that stuff. Anything you can do to kind of promote that, push that, get more engagement on social media. People sharing pictures of them meeting Danhausen, showing their friends and sharing it on their own timelines, and it's all just great engagement. So for me, that's where Danhausen shines, and I think this is why I was quite excited when he came in. I mean, if you go back to Elimination Chamber, rewatch that stream or see the clip when he comes out the box, I'm not complaining about it. There was people down on it at the time, but I saw enough of him in AEW to know that he was going to be a fun addition and that he was going to bring some comedy, some much needed comedy. Because R-Truth is good, but the R-Truth getting confused all the time thing can kind of run its course sometimes. Like it can be really good, but it can also miss on occasion. It would be good to just bring in a different flavor. And I think that's exactly what we've got. So, yeah, like we said earlier about does Danhausen need a match at Mania? No would be my answer. My answer would be that I'm more interested in him having a moment and it being some elaborate, something that's been given a lot of thought, maybe some fun big prop. I mean, could you imagine if, like, in the weeks leading up to Mania, he had, like, a T-shirt cannon, yeah? Fired a couple of T-shirts, thanked the fans, and then went. And then when we got to Mania, the stage was just full of them. And he was just running down. I mean, he had that big sort of machine gun one, didn't he? But imagine if we had, like, 30 in a row, and he was just onto the next one, onto the next one, onto the next one, just firing them out. Maybe we had like loads of those Ladyhausens kind of firing them out as well. Like, go big with something really fun and, like, make it a big sort of moment that he's... That, to me, is a better use of Danhausen than putting him in some tag match that ain't going to really mean much. So, yeah, I'm not desperate to see him wrestle. I know some of you are, and he will have matches. No doubt about that. He will have matches, but yeah, I'm not in a rush. I'm not in a rush. Nathan said, I had an idea. What if someone gets cursed, and in order for them to get uncursed, they have to win a match against Danhausen? That'd be good. Yeah, that'd be good. That could be kind of fun. Little story, little thing to do. So I wouldn't be down on that. The other thing as well that I like is, how you have like a Punjabi prison match for Jinder? I kind of feel like Danhausen should have his own match type as well. There should be like, a Danhausen, a Dan House fun match or something like this, something that's like, I'm picturing like a cage, a bit Punjabi prisonist that's black, and it's got like loads of wacky things in there, maybe wacky weapons that can be used, just really random things that are in there, soft toys and stuff as well. But inside the soft toy are like nunchucks or something, like whatever you can do to kind of bring like some of Danhausen's personality into like a match type. That could be really fun. We did, like, do you remember the Ambrose Asylum match when we had a cage around the ring and then we had weapons above it? Perhaps you just paint the cage red and black and the weapons make them a little bit spookier or crazier, and maybe that becomes like a Danhausen fun match kind of a thing, imagine his face with like red with his face in the middle as being like the ring canvas as well. Like, you could probably change the ring canvas for that type of match. And, you know, if it was like a mid-card feuds against, like, an opponent that's, you know, got a little something about them, and he's trying to, like, you know, get in their head, freak them out. Like, I'd like for him to have a match type. I think that would be kind of fun. So, yeah, I mean, I do think he should have matches, but it's something that we kind of work our way towards. Dan said, Days Atalma won again. Well, yeah, I saw round 5, very good. You know, onwards and upwards. I suppose the problem you've got with him is, you know, he just keeps beating people and making it look quite easy. But everyone seems to think that, like, Usyk would be a bridge too far. So you've got to find that balance, haven't you? You can't just, like, put him in front of Usyk now. So what will be that next step? You know, when does he start getting in there with a Dubois or a Joshua? Is that next? Or have we still got a little way to go? Don't know. It's interesting. He's a big future star, he is. Big future star. Miss Dalgina said, if you had to choose 2 wrestlers in the 80s and the 90s to be in the present day, who would they be? If you had to choose 2 wrestlers... one from the 80s, one from the 90s? Well, to be honest with you, I put a lot on in-ring. So I think I'd like to see someone like Macho Man is the first name that comes to mind, because Macho Man, when he was with Miss Elizabeth, that pairing was incredible. And, you know, you talk about one of the best in-ring performers, but you talk about one of the most charismatic performers as well. The only problem is he might just get in a little bit in the way with Seth, because I think Seth is actually quite close. I really think he is this generation's Macho Man. I mean, he's got a partner who's in wrestling, in Becky, just like how Macho had Miss Elizabeth. Seth has been wearing outlandish clothes, right? Like really brightly coloured, flamboyant. And then when you think about Macho Man's gear, I mean, it was some of the most outlandish, most flamboyant gear we've ever seen, right? So it feels like a lot of similarities in that regard. Then you look at like how good both of them are when the bell rings. Fantastic. I mean, absolutely brilliant when the bell rings. I mean, both were amongst the best in their generation. So a lot of similarities kind of there as well. I kind of look at it and think, like, would they just get in each other's way a little bit? The only thing is, Seth now is going to have to do something different. I don't know that he's going to come back as visionary anymore. I feel like it's definitely time for that next evolution for Seth. So what Seth kind of comes back as, what this next gimmick is going to be for him, I would imagine he's giving that a lot of thought at the moment. Real opportunity to wipe the slate clean. Real opportunity right now to go, right, okay, visionary, it has been done. I've done everything I can do with that. What's next? And he's always been very good at like reinventing himself. So if Seth is going to reinvent himself, I think Macho Man would have space to be the Macho Man. So yeah, I can't really give you a good reason why not Macho Man. I think Roddy Piper, for his talking abilities as well, would be really good. Obviously Piper from like early mid 80s. I kind of like that where there's still a fire. I think Piper sort of, I don't know, he seemed to settle down a little bit. I think he tried to step away and do Hollywood and then kind of come back. And I think it was hard for him to sort of keep up with wrestling. I think it really felt like he was at his peak in that kind of mid-80s period, early to mid-80s. And then as we got further away from that, it felt like other stars maybe started coming through and he started to sort of just get left behind a little bit. I suppose a prime example would be him and Bret Hart at WrestleMania 8. You know, Roddy Piper against Bret Hart, they're fighting over the Intercontinental Championship, not the WWE Championship. And, I mean, it's a great match, but Bret gets the win. Piper obviously loses, and we don't really see a great deal more of him after that. And that's WrestleMania 8. That's 1992 by that point. But I think if you compare to where he was kind of around WrestleMania 1, where he's in the main event, or WrestleMania 2, where he's boxing Mr. T, you know. WrestleMania 3, he has his retirement match, and then WrestleMania 5, he comes back. WrestleMania 6, we've got that awful Bad News Brown moment, which is really cringe. So I just sort of feel like the business started to pass him by a little bit. So if we could get that early Piper, that would be awesome. That would, you know, that's one of the best talkers that we've ever seen. And obviously, if I think 90s, I'm thinking Brett, I'm thinking Sean. They're kind of the first names that come to my mind. There may be like quite boring answers, but they're the truthful answers because these are amongst the best performers we've ever seen. So for me, like, I'd probably settle with, because we've had Sean relatively recently. So I think I'd settle with Piper and Macho. Those are the two that kind of come to my mind. Dace, I think it's a shame that Alistair likely won't make it to Mania, considering the last 3 wrestlers he beat were Damian, Randy, Sammy. They're all champs and are likely to be at Mania. Okay. I just think he's lacking momentum. I don't even remember his wins over these people because I'm sure there was outside interference. I'm sure they weren't clean wins. I mean, I feel like he is just really lacking any sort of focus. He's lacking programs. I mean, if I think back to the Damian feuds, he lost that feud. Damian won the ambulance match. So Alistair obviously lost that feud. And there's no shame in losing the feuds. But what did we do with him after that? I mean, we haven't. He's just been popping up in the background, having words with Randy Orton, you know? It's just been kind of popping up in the background. And then recently now he's kind of, you know, popping up and starting to talk to Matt Cardona. That's the kind of level that he's finding himself at now. He's now just having conversations with Matt Cardona. So I think if we'd have done more with him, more meaningful things with him rather than just odd matches where he's just gone in and just had a match with someone for a week and maybe picked up the win, but in a very, you know, fluky fashion where there's been distraction or outside interference or whatever it might be. And really, he's not the focus. The focus is on somewhere else. You know, he's just been added to a program temporarily. For me, like, there's just no focus on him. There's no momentum there. I can't give you a good reason why he should be on the cards. Because he is just lacking any intrigue, any engagement, any momentum. There's just nothing there. I've got no reason to want to see him. Wins don't really mean much if you're just sort of fluking your way through them. I mean, you've got to show that you are a force. You got to show that you are someone not to be messed with. And if you get wins in, you know, clean ways and move forward as a result and kind of build that momentum, I think I'd be with you then. But I just don't feel that way about him. I think that there's a lot of work that needs to be done there. That feels like a project, to be honest. It feels like we need to get past WrestleMania and then we need to get him involved in like a big story. I wouldn't be down on him and Zelina against Matt and Chelsea. But I think then you'd be starting to look at maybe turning Chelsea face. I don't know how people would feel about that because I don't think you'd be turning Alistair and Zelina face. So, you know, that could be a big fun summer feuds. Whether Alistair and Zelina would win that, though, probably not. But that's what we need to do. We need like a big sort of relaunch, really, to kind of get some momentum going. Edward said, Days, from that nightclub, I hope you're well. Shout out to you, buds. Yeah, I read your comment earlier, dude. Jacob said, I think WWE cares more about crowd reaction than about people whining on the internet. I agree with that. That's why Carrion has been forgotten. Yeah, I agree with that. The only thing I would say is the crowd after SummerSlam were making their voices very loud that they wanted him. But then when we tuned into the Monday Night Raw after that and the SmackDown after that, I think the Monday Night Raw was in a French-speaking part of Canada, and there was one guy there that was desperately trying to get the fans to chant for Carrion, and that just didn't happen. And then we went to back to America for SmackDown, and people just weren't. There might have been a sign or two. It is bonkers. I mean, it is crazy how he can do a documentary and it get 1 million views, and how you look on certain posts, certainly then, and it was like, we want Kross, we want Kross, we want Kross, but it just was not translating to the buildings. And I cannot explain that, because I know that a lot of the casual fans might not know or care, but even in those crowds, you're still going to have a percentage of hardcore fans. You're still going to have a percentage of the IWC, right? I mean, if anything kind of sums up the disconnect between the internet comments and the... be a good example. Because it was loud online. I mean, you was going on videos and there was just loads of messages and people were tagging me that it was trending and all this kind of stuff. And then you get to the actual shows and there was no chance. I mean, it's one thing for them to take signs away. I appreciate that they could have been removing signs, but they're not going to be able to silence the show if the crowd are chanting throughout the show. And there was a guy that was at that first Raw following SummerSlam, and he said, guys, I tried. He put a video after. He's like, I tried. I was trying to start chants and people would just not join in. So I know that it wasn't even a case that WWE were tampering with the sound. There was a guy that was actually in the crowd who was trying to get the chants going, and he said in a video after, people just weren't going for it. So the Carrion thing is that's one of the most confusing things I've seen campaigns because I can't quite explain why it didn't translate. I would imagine even Carrion is confused. I would imagine even he's quite confused. Maybe part of it was because of Seth and the injury, right? And the fact that he made out he was injured, but he wasn't really. And then he came back at SummerSlam. And that is around the time where Carrion leaves. I think Carrion's last match was the SummerSlam match, right? And then I think a few weeks later, he was gone. So we are talking at the same time frame, right? And I do wonder if people looked at that and thought, is this real? Because I was thinking that. I was wondering that. Is this real? You've got all these people wanting Carrion. You've got all those fans after SummerSlam chanting, we want Kross, we want Kross. And that was when the kickoff show thing, or the press conference thing was happening. You had Triple H sat at that table with the other pundits talking about how SummerSlam had gone. And in the background, the fans are chanting, we want Kross, we want Kross. And this is that famous moment where Triple H goes, you want Brock? You've got Brock. You've got him. And I don't know if he actually heard it correctly or if he did and he just didn't want to acknowledge it. But he said, you want Brock? You've got him. But that's not what they were chanting. They were chanting, we want Kross. So even the live crowd there were making their feelings heard and their thoughts heard, but they just weren't getting through. They weren't coming across. He didn't hear it or didn't want to hear it. And then the people in the arenas, it didn't kick on somehow. And I cannot explain it. It lost momentum and it did not carry on. And it was loud at SummerSlam and it just did not show itself on Raw and SmackDown. And I don't get why, because it was very loud online. And you would think, even if it was just a small percentage, 10% of people in the arena could still get chants going. They could still make a noise. They could still have a presence. But, I mean, we weren't seeing anything. So that's a mystery, which, Yeah, I don't know. I don't really have any thoughts on. The only thing I can think is that the We Want Kross movement involved a lot of bots, involved a lot of fake accounts, involved a lot of people like commenting on loads of different posts. I mean, I must admit, there are people in our community that I know that just go around saying We Want Kross on loads of stuff, right? So I know there are like a very vocal minority, and I wonder if the whole thing just got like blown up to seem much bigger than it actually was. But then I look at his documentary, and that's getting like millions of views, million plus views. I look at the SummerSlam crowd, and they're all chanting. So then I go, well, no, that doesn't feel right, because there's evidence there that says the contrary. So it's one that I don't have an answer for. That is one that's a bit of a head scratcher to me. Big Time said, do you remember the Raw following SummerSlam? International crowds like Canadians and WWE's going overseas. Yeah, they did. I think, though, they did a show or two in America first before they went overseas. They did a Canadian crowds. But to be honest with you, even the Canadian fans, you would imagine they would be chanting. I mean, you would imagine that there would still be a percentage there that would be part of the IWC. I mean, regardless of if you're in America, if you're in Britain, if you're in Canada, you would expect still a percentage of those people to be active online and be, aware of what's being said and aware of where the conversation was. But for whatever reason, it just never kicked on. How do you have a crowd making so much noise at SummerSlam and then it does not show itself on SmackDown or Raw or anything like that follows? I don't know. It just disappeared, didn't it? Dean said, I don't like seeing wrestlers not being used correctly, says Dean. Debatable, isn't it? I mean, how do you use each wrestler correctly? I would say the way they're using Danhausen is correct, but then other people would say that he needs matches. I don't know. I mean, that's the great debate, isn't it? I suppose everyone has their own opinions about different wrestlers. Some people like that person, other people don't like that person. Some people rate them, other people don't rate them. So there's no like one answer. For most of this stuff, there's no one answer. A lot of it is all just going to come down to opinion and, subjectivity. Cart said, Days, Alistair, Selena, Mr. Iguana, Lola, we need to make that happen. The people on the internet aren't a representation of the people that go to the shows, says Glockness. Well, yes, I mean, that was the takeaway. There is a disconnect. And that's why I feel quite comfortable whenever we have conversations about like how the IWC is not the whole picture. Because, I mean, that was a prime example of it, where you had very vocal, noise online, but then it just didn't translate to the arenas. Andy said, how do we rank the brands from best to worst, like Raw, SmackDown, Evolve, NXT, AAA? Well, right now, I would say, how do you rank that? That's going to have to come down to... How do you rank that? If you rank it by show quality, right? Show quality, the quality of the show. Forget that, these are bigger shows with bigger rosters, star power, all that. We're talking about the actual quality of the show. I'm going to say... Evolve bottom. And that hurts because Evolve actually is a show which can be hit and miss, but can have some good moments. And it's not hard to watch. It's only 45 minutes, 50 minutes long. Tends to be about 3 matches. Show quality has been pretty good. I mean, not bad. I mean, genuinely, there's normally a great match on there, but I'm gonna have to go with that because it is hit and miss. So I'm gonna go Evolve at the bottom. Then I'm gonna go. I have to go SmackDown. I have to. I mean, at the moment, it got a 5 from me, which is one of the lowest scores I can remember giving in a long, long time. Normally, I'm in the 6s. This was lucky to get a 5 this week, but because of Cody being on the show. And, you know, being back, because we got a new champion in Sammy, and okay, I'm not sure that was the right thing to do, but it was a great match as well. Really enjoyable contest. So, you know, we had a great match. We had a new champion. That's a big talking point. We had Cody Rhodes back. So we had that as well. There was a bit of Danhausen bits that were on there. Bit of R-Truth stuff that was on there. Again, I said, like in my breakdown, you can scrape together some bits so that this isn't 2 out of 10 or 3 out of 10. Should it have been a 4-point summit instead? Maybe. It's hard. My gut feeling is, though, 5, and it's very, very fortunate to be getting that. And this is off the back of, you know, last week being so-so. Week before, I think, got a 6. And I remember saying it only gets that because of how amazing that beatdown was. The bottom line is, this is a bad show. Right now, SmackDown is a bad show. And it is only being saved by a couple of moments. Normally, whatever closes out the show is really doing some heavy lifting. Normally, you'll get a Carmella Hayes match that, you know, will do something and deliver and, you know, make sure it's not a disastrous score. But you take those couple of things away, you are left with a bad show. So right now, I think that SmackDown has got to go second. Yeah. So Evolve at the bottom. Then SmackDown. Then NXT, because NXT has got the awful Zarya Soul thing, which, that segment was terrible. I don't know if you saw Unseen today or saw the news, but there are people within WWE saying to Brian Alvarez that this past week's NXT was terrible. They're saying that they knew it was terrible. There is some good stuff. I mean, I really like Fatal Influence, as I said. I really like Fatal Influence. I like Ethan and Ricky together. I think they're fun. I like Swipe Right, Vanity Project as a team. They're the current tag team champs. So I like those guys. I like Keanu Carver. I think they've got something to work with there. It's 2 hours. The crowd are always bringing energy. For me, with NXT, I like Tatum as well. Tatum Paxley, I think, is a fantastic future star. Really enjoying her work. I think she's excellent on the microphone. I think she's got a really good character, personality. So I'm really enjoying her work as well. So I think in regards to NXT, sometimes I can see some shows that are like, yeah, that was all right. That was pretty good. Sometimes the shows can be like, ooh, this isn't their best week, right? So I think for me, I'm going to say they're more hit and miss than what we're seeing out of SmackDown. So they would have to go next. Then I would go AAA. I think every time I've watched AAA, I've enjoyed it. And I fully expect to watch it and enjoy it tonight, right? So every time I've watched AAA, I've enjoyed it. But the only problem is I don't watch it that often. And I only tend to watch the bigger shows. So, a normal week's episode might not be that great. I don't know. But, from what I've seen, I've been enjoying AAA. Now, whether I could be watching it every single week, and they lean a lot on El Grande stuff, which, it's okay. I don't mind it. I am a bit confused about how he's a heel in one country and a babyface in the other country, right? I get that it worked with Brett, but it just seems a little bit strange with El Grande. And so, you know, we're doing a lot on that. We're leaning a lot on Dominic. There is a fantastic in-ring, though. Yeah, I would probably go AAA above NXT, but it does feel a bit unfair because if I was to watch more of AAA, it might actually find itself going below NXT. But I can only judge what I've seen, and every time I've watched AAA, it's always had really good scores from you guys. You lot have always enjoyed the show. I don't think I've ever seen a bad AAA show at the moment. So it kind of has to reflect that. But I'm going to go Raw at number 1 because the thing with Raw is that even though we do get some bad Raw shows, it's obviously the flagship. There's obviously a lot of stuff going on there. It's consistently in the 7s at the moment. So for me, that is a show that I am kind of enjoying now once we've hit March. I think February was a concern, but I think we're in a better place now. I do find myself enjoying the Randy Cody story maybe more than Roman and Punk, but I do like how they've brought the Usos in, and I do like that sort of tease of, is Roman listening to Jay? Is the bloodline reforming? Is CM Punk right? Can Roman not get it done on his own? Is that going to lead to something in the future? Like, you know, there's a lot of stuff for us to kind of get our teeth into with all of that. So even though I'm probably enjoying the return of Randy more than anything else, I think the main event is still really good on Raw. And Raw just feels pretty solid from start to finish. It just feels like a very easy to watch show, and it gets like about a 7. So yeah, I feel like that being the flagship, being the big show to watch, you can go into Mondays with confidence of like, yeah, I think this is going to be good right now. So recap, personally, I would go Evolve, SmackDown, NXT, then AAA, but those two are quite close. And if I watch more AAA, it could go below. And then I'd have Raw at the top. I think Raw is more consistent than NXT at the moment. I think in 2025, NXT was the best of the brands. Of the 4 that we watched, NXT was the best of the brands. I don't think I can really say that at the moment. Don't think I can say that right now. Rapture said, is there a chance that Noam Dar returns and goes to the main roster? I wouldn't think so. I think that he needs to get back. He needs to get injury free, doesn't he? I mean, his injuries have been too much of a concern, and he was kind of doing metaphor. Do you remember with Jakara Jackson and Lash Legend and Oro Mensah? He was doing metaphor with those guys, and then they broke that group up. I think that was looking like a vehicle, which felt like it might be the vehicle that was going to take them all to the main roster, but it didn't. So I don't see Noam Dar heading to the main roster when he comes back, no. I think that he needs to come back, get himself back up to speeds. They need to give him some good creative, and he needs to have a good run in NXT. And then I think they'll have a look at him. Maybe a little further down the line later this year, he might find a way of getting in the mix to like being called up. But he just needs to get back from injury first. Okay, Humpty said, I feel like Brock doesn't want Jeff Cobb abusing suplexes and therefore holding him down. Sammy looks like a bum, not a champion. Equation said, if you got everything we wanted, then what about the next one? Well, I mean, obviously we're watching stories unfold, so it should be that when you get to the next one, there's going to be, new things that you're looking for. So ideally, it should be that you get the kind of matches that you're hoping to get. You get success for the people that you're hoping get success. And then, you move on to that next week and you hope to see, that story twisting, turning, the people that you want to see succeeding and so on and so on. It's like never ending, isn't it, really? It's never ending. It's not really about one show. It's more about, the storylines and about the characters and if they're going in the right direction. It's not really so much about like one episode. So really, like when we're looking at an episode, if an episode underwhelms, that's fine, because next week it might not. Next week it might end up being like a really good episode. It does feel like SmackDown's going through a bad period at the moment, but live in eternal hope that they can turn that round. Tony said, Days, I've been seeing wrestling for 24 years. I think last night's SmackDown was embarrassing for wrestling. It was a slap in the face. I give it a -7. Well, it was definitely not a well-received episode, so you wasn't alone. Big Time said, Tiffany has hit a brick wall. The crowds have been quieter. The lack of house shows is showing. She's drowning at the moment, says Big Time. Abdullah said, Days, is Raw towering over SmackDown because it's Netflix? The bigger thing than SmackDown in USA. Every part of Raw is something to look forward to, but SmackDown is not. Triple H seems to not care. Well, I think you could be correct in one regard. I think you're correct in the sense of if you've got like a group of writers, you're probably going to want to have like some of your better writers on Raw, Raw is going to benefit because Netflix are paying so much money. Raw is going to benefit by, these little advantages of just having, the better producers, the better writers. I don't think it's like 100% focus. I feel like, if it's like, oh, which person do we put to Raw? Which person do we put to SmackDown? You might go, bang, let's put the better one onto Raw. It might be like 60-40. This person's a little bit better than that. They get, they've got a few better ideas, whatever. Maybe Raw is benefiting a little bit from that. Because Netflix is paying so much money that, they're sending. Plus also, don't forget, it's not only that they're paying a lot of money, but WWE's relationship with USA Network is so strong that they sadly probably can take some liberties. And what I mean by that is that you can sort of allow SmackDown to just sort of not drift, but you don't have to worry so much about it. I mean, when Raw debuted in 93, it debuted on USA Network, right? The relationship with USA Network goes back decades. I suppose the point I'm making is a few bad shows, right, ain't gonna change the relationship with USA Network. I don't watch USA Network, but from what I understand, WWE has always been a big part of their portfolio. So USA Network sort of need WWE because it's always been a big presence on their channel. Netflix do not need WWE. Netflix do not have a long-standing relationship with WWE. That relationship is being built right now. So again, we go back to, I've got these producers, I've got these writers, I've got these people. Where am I putting them? I do think Raw could be benefiting from having the stronger backstage team, right? But I don't think that's going to be the big difference. I don't believe that's the big difference. I don't think that's why we're seeing what we're seeing. I just think SmackDown is just getting it wrong at the moment. I just think that both creative teams seem to struggle in 2025. I mean, we can't say that Raw is better than SmackDown right now because of it being on Netflix, because Raw was not very good in 2025. Neither was SmackDown. I mean, neither of those shows were firing on full cylinders. I mean, we leaned on the Vision a lot for Raw. And I think we can all agree that was pretty underwhelming. Seth joining up with Braun Bronson. We were frustrated that we weren't digging into that group more and we weren't getting more out of them. There was a lot of like vision, like matches, main event in Bronson trying to build up that aura. Didn't make for great episodes. Kind of felt like we were trying to invest in the future, which I can understand. But, you know, just because we were on Netflix last year didn't mean that Raw was like firing on all cylinders. I think we can all agree 2025 largely is looked back on as an underwhelming year. So I think in comparison, there could be a little bit of something in it. But I just think that the SmackDown creative and maybe a little bit with the talent themselves, there's clearly issues there. There's clearly problems there. Maybe the lack of a draft has also hurt. We know the SmackDown roster hasn't been right. I mean, who's Julia meant to be feuding with? I mean, what have we been doing with Julia? I mean, she's feuding with Tiffany now, you know, so that's better. But, I mean, it's been awful, hasn't it, over the back end of last year for Julia? Because there's just not been anyone for her to feud with apart from Chelsea Green, who's also a heel. So, yeah, I think there might be a little something in the rosters. I think it's people are right. The lack of house shows is hurting straight across the boards. I think, you know, we've got Jade as champion on SmackDown. We've got Stephanie as champion on Raw. I know which of the two I would rather be watching, and it's not Jade. So I think there's lots of little things like that at play as well. I think there's lots of little things like that where it's like, you know, which is better out of these two, you know, tends to be Raw. Although, as I said, I do think the main event of SmackDown at the moment might be getting a bit more interest from me. Raw has got better characters, especially with Seth Rollins back, said Equation. Right, where are we? Time-wise, yes. So the clocks did as the clocks should do. They did jump forward an hour. So that means that we are about 47 minutes away, and then we'll be at AAA. So yes, we started around the right time. Okay, Rapture said, Days, I've got a theory. The reason WWE did Ilya Mello and then had Mello lose to Sammy is so they can do Sammy Mello trick. And so Ilya is free at Mania so that he can take on Gunther, who could do an open challenge. Well, I think that's a great theory. I could absolutely see it going that way. Yeah, I don't disagree with that. Big Time said it feels like the IWC has been bogged down with negativity to the point where there's green shoots. People will still find something to complain about. Well, I think it's very easy to be dragged into that negativity because, I mean, the truth is that we watch the shows and we give our honest thoughts as the shows are going on, right? We all want to be entertained. And if you're not feeling entertained or something happens and you disagreed with the story going in that direction, you know, that causes frustration, right? I mean, it's yin and yang. And I do think some people forget this. It's yin and yang. We're all hoping that it's going to be entertaining, but the opposite of something being entertaining is that it's underwhelming, it's boring, right? It's a poor product. So you can't have the one without the other, right? If something is going to be good, then that must mean there is something else that's going to be bad. So yin and yang. So, you know, this is just the way of the world. Every TV show that airs, people will have opinions about it. Every album that gets released, people will have opinions about it. The thing is that WWE are putting out a product in 2025 and into 2026 that I think it's quite easy to look at and say is not reaching the heights of where we were in 2023 and 2024. People loved the Bloodline, right? Which is funny because at the time there was still a healthy amount of people that were complaining. But retrospect and rose-tinted glasses, and it's one of those where you come out of it and you go, damn, we didn't know how good we had it. That was such a good time. It was so good. But, you know, now all of that is gone. We're kind of left with what we're left with. And this is where people are feeling underwhelmed. And this is where you're getting the comments that we're getting. So I understand it. I understand why people are reacting that way. I am someone which, surprisingly, people might not believe this. I am desperate to not get dragged into that sort of stuff. I know we're very critical. I know that it might seem like we complain all the time. That's because there's a lot of questions that get brought up about where do we think the shows are at the moment. And you have to be honest, don't you? I can't sit here and tell you that SmackDown was an amazing show when we all know it was not. Right? It was not. So we just have to be honest with where we are. And the sad truth is we are in a challenging place at the moment. The green shoots are the call-ups from NXT have been a massive success. Oba, Trick, Javon, big thumbs up. We're all excited for where those three are heading. Yeah. The other green shoots are Raw is definitely delivering. I will stand by that. Raw is delivering. So I go into Raw on Monday at Madison Square Garden genuinely excited, genuinely optimistic. You know, we've got the Oba Brock situation, which is obviously very fun. We've got Dominic and Finn, which is fun as well. I'm kind of down for that. I don't hate Liv and Stephanie. I think that's stronger than Rhea and Jade's. So you're not down on that. Not down on Roman, CM Punk, and I like the bloodline kind of being brought into that. So I'm not down on that either. And of course, you've got Heyman on Raw, which is a big plus because he's such a fantastic talker. But we're at Madison Square Garden this week as well, so it just goes up another level. So, you know, and I think the card at WrestleMania is not looking too bad. Danhausen continues to entertain. There are green shoots. This is not a complete dumpster fire. It's not like everything is bad. We've got some stuff here that's entertaining. So, you know, it is, you know, advisable to try and cling on to that and not just fall into that pit of depression, because it's so easy to do that. Certainly if you look on social media, I mean, it's absolutely everywhere. But yes, there are some positives that are out there as well. Right, WrestleRelics said, how do we feel about Seth's new presentation? Well, I haven't really seen anything, to be honest. I mean, at the moment, he's in that sort of mass person stage, which I'm guessing he's going to move out of. I mean, I'm not sure that this is what he's going to do forever. Unless this is going to be his new permanent gimmick where, you know, he's going to be kind of coming through the crowds. I think they're still working it out, though, because it wasn't that long ago he came out with a load of other people and they tried doing that jumble thing, which now seems to have been binned off, you know? That seems to have been kind of sacked off, where we don't do that anymore now, because we haven't done it since that week. So I think they're still kind of, you know, playing around with a few elements. Whether this is going to be his permanent gimmick, though, can't say. If it was, I wouldn't necessarily hate it. Seth seems to have phases. So if this was going to be his next permanent kind of gimmick, I'd imagine this gimmick would run till the end of the year, going into next year, and then we'll probably move on to something different. You know, I mean, he's done Messiah, Visionary, Monday Night Rollins, Shield, Architect. I mean, he's had like all these different phases. Beast Slayer. I mean, he had Beast Slayer for a time. So yeah, I don't know how long we keep this one going for, but yeah, I don't hate it whilst we're doing it at the moment. Humpty Vision said it's all because we're passionate and we know what good wrestling is and we deserve good wrestling. Well, I think that's, yeah, I mean, I think, yeah. I am very conscious, and I think people will be surprised to know that I am very aware, very conscious that people don't really want to tune in to watch-alongs, breakdowns, and see complaining and moaning, right? They want to see the truth, and so you have to be honest. But it is so easy to get dragged into that kind of stuff, you know? And I am trying to find ways of not, but if you're going to get the product like we got on SmackDown on Friday, I mean, it's I thought I thought I did well during that stream to, not get dragged into negativity. I could have been sat there going, this sucks, this is rubbish, all that. I mean, I didn't do that. I was just watching, talking about what was going on, and just saved a lot of thoughts for the breakdown. I really do try to do that now. I'll watch a show, and if I'm not enjoying it, I might make the odd comment, but I just try to focus on what's happening and relay that information, and then just try and shove it all into the breakdown. But yeah, honestly, I mean, my score was struggling for that show until we got to the end and we got Cody coming out. We finally got Cody kind of going at Randy, and I didn't even think that segment was executed the best to its ability, but it was still a segment that improved my score, so it was very welcome all the same. Nathan said, I used to get negative feedback for all the things that I enjoyed, but then I switched up everything and I got a mixture of opinions, and it's much better now. Yeah, that's good. It's good to get a mixture of opinions. It's good to look at different perspectives, because you don't have to be married to any one perspective. You don't have to stick with one perspective. It's not, again, I keep saying this, my perspective is my perspective. It's just how I am viewing things, but then someone else might be viewing it a completely different way, and actually they will be, because if you've got a kid out there that's like 8 years old, or someone that hasn't watched like loads of wrestling and they're kind of new to wrestling, this is going to be mind-blowing to them. Everything's just like amazing to them, because they don't have other things to sort of benchmark against. So their perspective, of course, will be different. And this is where you get such a wide variety of opinion and perspectives online, and there's people that have watched loads of wrestling that can watch SmackDown and think it was brilliant, find stuff in there that they really enjoyed. So, opinions, as long as they are honest, are very valid and very interesting, because it's interesting to get honest thoughts, honest feedback. I love reading the opinions in the opinions videos. I genuinely do, because it gives me a good idea as to what people are thinking and how people are feeling. And it gives me a good idea if I'm in line with the community or not. And, I trust a lot of you are giving me your truthful opinions. So, it just sort of helps me understand, like, where are we? And I think it gives me a much better understanding of what's working, what's not working, what's landing, what can be improved, what's the general consensus on things. So this is why I feel very satisfied. I don't need to go really to look for other opinions. I have all of your opinions to give me those different perspectives. So it's good. Just hope that we can obviously enjoy the rest of this WrestleMania season. See SmackDown improve. Hopefully Raw can keep continuing its good work. Hopefully SmackDown, the standard of that can lift. And hopefully we can, see this thing out and look back on it as being not bad, right? I mean, I do think there's been a lot more that's gone down this year than last year. I think this is already better than last year, but hopefully it can still end up in a good place. Sonny, hello, shout out to you. Said, I hope you're doing well. I have made 4 new mods, including Flame Fist. Discord is thriving. Wow, excellent. Sonny, congrats. I think Discord is a fantastic place for the community to go and talk to each other, share their thoughts. It gives you a much better platform to be able to chat away. Obviously, you can chat away in the chat. I love seeing people have conversations with each other. I massively encourage that. But yeah, the Discord's there for whenever we're not streaming or even when we are. And if you want to kind of really, have a kind of less crowded space to talk, I'd imagine that's a pretty good one to go to. So I'm glad to hear it's thriving, bud. Okay, Abdullah said, Days, why don't they make Cody a world champion? If they want him to be the champion, him chasing for the title and winning again and again is boring. Or IC or US. Why don't they make Cody the world champion? if they really want him to be the champion. Oh, I don't know what you mean by this. He is the champion. He is the champion. Randy's trying to get that belt at WrestleMania. So, I mean, look, as we said the other day, Cody is one of the top stars. He's always going to be around that title picture. They might move him into a feuds for a few months, but he'll find his way coming back, just like how Hogan did, just like how Roman always seems to find his way back, just like how John Cena always found his way back. Like, he's the needle mover, he's the merch seller. So, you know, he's always going to be in that conversation. But the challenge is, you know, bringing through the next wave as well. I mean, Ober's just going to barge his way through, isn't he? You're not going to be able to stop Ober. Ober's going to find a way of getting there. And Gunther, they're having to do a bit of work with Gunther to get him there, but he's seemingly getting there. So, you know, and they're trying with Bron Breakker, but a big setback with that injury and the setback with the Seth injury as well. But I look at what they're doing with Ober. I look at what they're doing with Trick. I look at what they're doing with Gunther. I look at what they're doing with Bron Breakker. I can see that there is an attempt to bring through some people and get them to that sort of main event, you know, area. I think people would like them to move a bit quicker with the likes of LA Knight. I can understand that. But, you know, I can see work that's being done at that level, which is why I'm okay, really, with them sticking with Roman, Punk, Cody. I'm okay with them doing that because I can't say that Bron Breakker is quite ready yet. I think this is where, when you mess up 2025, it has repercussions in 2026. We can't sit here and say that 2025 was underwhelming and list all the reasons why, and then be surprised that 2026 has got some problems. You know, Bron Breakker, we didn't dig into his character enough. We didn't do enough backstage segments. We didn't explore his relationship with Heyman or Bronson or Seth. You know, we didn't do that. We didn't build his aura until after Seth had been kicked out the group. I mean, really, the first time I felt, you know, like some excitement around Bron was probably when he attacked Seth. And then, like at Survivor Series, I kind of felt the way they presented him was pretty good. And when he attacked Seth, I think he grabbed Seth's belt, didn't he? I think the following week he came walking out with the championship. And I remember a lot of people online going, oh, that looks good. That belt suits him. And genuinely, I mean, when did we take Seth out? We took Seth out after SummerSlam. So, I mean, what was we doing over the summer with the Vision? I mean, I remember him faffing around with Roman and Jay, I think, at SummerSlam. And I remember being very critical of that match because the point I was making was, it doesn't matter who wins this match. It doesn't matter, really, because, I mean, no one's going to remember it. I could probably ask a load of people what did Bron Breakker do at SummerSlam last year, and a load of people probably won't remember, right? Because what we were doing with him was not effective. And that was part of the frustration of last year. But the thing is, that all comes home to roost in 2026. Kind of sit here now and we go, you know, is Bron Breakker ready to main event WrestleMania? No, not really. He doesn't feel big enough. He hasn't really got the momentum. Well, obviously the injury is playing a big part in that, but they could have put the belt on Bron Breakker when he faced CM Punk in January, and they didn't. They didn't. Now, I don't know if that's because they were trying to delay it for further down the road, maybe delay it for WrestleMania, but it didn't feel like the aura was quite there yet. He is still a work in progress. Ober's only just arrived. Trick's only just arrived. Gunther. Again, we're dealing with problems from last year. Last year, Gunther taps out to Jay. Can't escape the chance. Then we get to SummerSlam, loses the title to Punk. Oh, fine, you know? I mean, it was a great match. Main event, he lost the title. These things happen. But those are the two big shows where Gunther is losing championships, right? And those are the two kind of big shows. They're number 2 and number 3 out of the most watched shows of the year. Yeah, Rumble 1, WrestleMania 2, SummerSlam 3, right? WrestleMania, SummerSlam would beat Rumble if you add both days together. If you just count any individual day, Rumble wins, right? But yeah, so you got Gunther tapping out to Jay. You got Gunther losing the title to CM Punk clean, right? I mean, this was a guy that sort of needed the Cena moment just to get that momentum going again. I feel like the build for Gunther sort of started in November because I feel like he was at a pretty low ebb when that tournament started to find who was going to retire John. And then he does retire John. There's a load of controversy around John tapping out, which I think was an unnecessary distraction. But, you know, Gunther can go around saying that he tapped out John. It got him heat. You can say it worked. And then he retires AJ Styles. And now, obviously, unfortunately, he finds himself where we don't know what he's going to do at WrestleMania. So, yeah, Gunther feels like it's hard to quite get him to that level. I mean, maybe the argument is just put him in the match. Perhaps we should be doing Gunther Cody this year. And perhaps, you know, we should just put him in the match and we should just go with it. I think it's probably undeniable, though, that Randy Cody is the bigger match. I mean, what's the bigger match? Gunther Cody or Randy Cody? I think we would all agree it's Randy Cody. And that's the challenge that these new stars have got. They've got to be getting those numbers and that engagement and that excitement. They've got to have that behind them before they get to that level, you know? You can't just put them there and then hope that it's gonna, you know, people are gonna buy tickets and people are gonna tune in. Like, you've got to do all of that work. So if the work wasn't right in 2025, then it's going to show in 2026. So yeah, it's hard. I mean, it's hard. It's hard to build these people up. It's easy to sit at home and go, why isn't Ober in the main event? Why isn't Gunther in the main event? Why aren't they just putting a belt on Theory? Like, it's easy to sit there and do that. But when you're the one that's responsible for ratings and ticket sales, that's where it becomes a lot harder, because a lot of these people we're talking about aren't going to drive the same numbers as a CM Punk or a Roman Reigns. It's hard. Trying to find that switch over, I can understand the challenge. And WWE, you know, they're going to be doing the best they can. I do believe that, because it's in their interest. You know, they obviously want this thing to keep going. They don't want WWE to die. So they know that they've got to bring through young talent. And they know that they've got to invest in the future. And they know that they've got to build up main event stars, because Roman ain't going to be around forever. Neither is Punk. Neither is Cody. Neither is Seth. And they know this. So not for 1 second do I think that they are not aware of that, or that they're holding people down, or anything like this. I think that they are trying to build people. I just think it's quite a difficult process because it's measurable. And that's the thing a lot of fans don't see, is that it is actually measurable. We can measure the popularity of each of the superstars through Google searches, through merch sales, through video views. And so you can see exactly where everyone is in level of popularity. And before people, you know, if people aren't at a certain level, I don't think they're going to run the risk of putting them in main events. So the bottom line for me is those people are just not at the required level yet. How do we get them there? And if we botched 2025 in doing that, then it shows itself in 2026. Edward said there was a situation at last night's TNA PLE in the main event. Steve Macklin got rocked and the ref stopped the match. Miss Clown said all they need for perfect programming every week is a neon pink G-string. Let's go. That'll do it. That'll do it. Just maybe above where they come out. So instead of the fist, there's a neon pink G-string. Let's go. I think you're thinking of a very different show, but I like the show you're thinking of. Jacob said, when the superstars get the WWE Championship, they will gain superpowers and then transform into super mega superstars. Let's go. Jay said, I don't see Braun as a star. He doesn't have that it factor to me. Well, yeah, I mean, that is the thing, isn't it? That it factor has to be found. It has to be nurtured. It's not just a simple case that you're born with it. And again, you know what I'm going to say. We're going to go back to the classic, you know, when The Rock first came in, he was Rocky Maivia. He had to find that X factor. When Stone Cold came in, he was the ringmaster. And when he said he wanted to mix it up, they gave him a list of names to choose from, including things like Chili McFreeze. That's not a joke. That's not a joke. There was a long list of names, and one of them on there is like Chili McFreeze. And in the end, he settled on Stone Cold Steve Austin. And, you know, all of this, I mean, like, does Chili McFreeze main event WrestleMania 17? Or does he just become like a 1995 jobber? You know? You've got to get the presentation right. You've got to get the name has got to be right. The presentation has got to be right. The ring gear, the entrance gear, whoever they're with. The way that they talk, what it is they say, the stories that you got for them, the way they interact with others, like all these elements have got to be just absolutely bang on. And then hopefully you can find that X factor and you can, you know, kind of go from there. It's hard. It's difficult. I think it's not a myth that some people are just born with it. Because I think, like, if you've got a good size to you, like, say, Brock, I mean, there's probably less work that needs to be done with Brock. But Braun is not Brock. There's not many people like Brock. So I think that you can be born with it, but it's very, very difficult. A lot of people have to put a lot of work in that you don't see to find it and actually bring it out. And I suppose I would say there's a lot of potential, but I would agree with you. There's a lot of potential that I don't think have found that it factor yet. You know, there's a lot of potential that I don't think have found that final form. And we just got to keep working to try and get them there. And once we can start getting them there, then we can start making progress. Look at Oba. I think Oba has found it. And he, within the space of a few months of debuting, is finding himself in a match against Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania, a match that he will likely win. And, well, I mean, honestly, he could win King of the Ring. If you told me now, I've looked into the future, Oba wins King of the Ring, he then challenges for a world title at SummerSlam, I would believe you. I would believe you because, yeah, I mean, I just don't see how you're going to stop this guy. I don't see how you're going to stop him. He feels like he's found it. If you want to know what it looks like, it looks like Oba. But I think we can agree that there's quite a few people that have potential to kind of get to that sort of level, but they just haven't found it yet. Steve said if Danhausen cursed Stone Cold, he would then end up being Chili McFreeze. Buckets. Hey, that would be really fun, actually. That would be really fun. Imagine if he cursed him and he says that, you know, I'm cursing you, and you're going to be surprised to find out what's going to happen, right? And then he goes to like his meet and greet at WWE World, and all the graphics say Chili McFreeze. And when Stone Cold's like, what the hell's this? The woman's like, I don't know. It all just came back from the printers this way. And so all these pictures say Chili McFreeze. The graphics behind say Chili McFreeze. That would be a great Danhausen thing, actually, Steve. That would be really, really good. Because, again, it's a lovely grey area where you could believe that the printers made a mistake. Yeah? You could believe that. But it's also that sort of grey area with, was it actually Danhausen that's done this? That would be quite clever, a clever way of putting a curse on someone that's not an active superstar, and actually having that kind of misfortune. So I like that, Steve. I think that's a good idea, that is, buds. But Charlie says, I am ready for this show. I've got baked potato with pulled pork and chili sauce topped with cheese. Weird Flex said, I wouldn't go for that. I think Macho has got a larger-than-life personality. Seth doesn't have much of a personality, with all due respect, says Weird Flex. Big Time said, Days, it's a perfect way to sum up 2025, and that being Damage Control. Out of 25 episodes, maybe at least 30 felt like throwaway shows that were like speedy. Now more Raw episodes are being used effectively. Yeah, I think that's fair. Days, Chili McFreeze, that would be a Vince sponsoring McDonald's as like a McFlurry mascot. Chili McFreeze. Let's go. I thought that, says Miss Clown. Chili McFreeze sounds like a gas station milkshake. Yes. Gas station milkshake. Let's go. I am ready for the show. Charlie, shout out to you, buds. Humpty Vision with an excellent point says the music is part of the presentation and the music sucks. And I think that's an excellent point, because I completely agree. That's obviously not just a 2025 problem, but there were complaints about, I mean, we've been complaining about Def Rebel for how long? I do think it's difficult for them because the company is so much bigger now. You know, Jim Johnston was having to come up with themes, of course, but he wasn't not having to come up with the amount of themes that are needed now. I mean, there is just people coming through Evolve, coming into NXT, debuting directly. I mean, not only have you got lots of people just coming in, be that next in line, WWE ID, Performance Center recruits, people signed from New Japan or AEW or TNA. You know, not only have you got all that, but then you've got people rebranding that want new music as well. I genuinely wouldn't even know how many pieces of music they have to make on a yearly basis. I bet it's a very high number. And so, yeah, I bet it is very generic. I bet it is just like, let's, you know, every day just create different piece of music, different theme, and then just kind of fit the theme the best you can. I think, you know, there was still a lot of people coming in, but not on the same scale. So I don't want to give them too much credit. I don't want to say, like, you know, give them too many excuses. But I do think it's harder now, just from the sheer amount that they've got to generate. But hey, listen, that's the job. That's the job. I mean, maybe make it the music department a bigger department. I mean, the bottom line is it's not been good enough. I mean, you look at like Kit Wilson's music, which is great. He had a lot of input into that, saying, I want it to be like this, I want it to be like that. Feels like it was very built from the ground up. Wasn't a generic theme that they just kind of gave to him. It was like he had ideas and things that he wanted to do. And as a result, he's got himself a great theme out of it, which worked, didn't it? Because there was a lot of buzz around his theme. So you're absolutely right. The music has not been good enough. I can make excuses as to why that could be the case, but it's got to change. It's got to improve. Lonnie, hello. Something I was thinking about. What if Randy is talking to Bob Orton, okay, on the phone, and then next week in St. Louis, he comes out and reveals that he was on the phone and Randy beats him up. Right, so he was talking to his dad and he beats up his own dad. Yeah, that could be interesting. That could be interesting. I don't know if his dad, I don't know, I've not seen his dad in so long. I've no idea if his dad could take a bump or anything now. But yeah, I mean, that kind of thing resonates well, doesn't it? Because people don't like you disrespecting your parents. It's just a general accepted kind of social standard. You don't disrespect your mom. You don't disrespect your dad, right? So even if people don't really know who Cowboy Bob is, it doesn't really matter. That's Randy's dad, and he should show him respect. So yeah, that would probably get a little bit of heat from the fans. The fans wouldn't like that. So I wouldn't be down on that. J. Brown said, I wonder how many new WWE fans stuck around. It's really easy to sell tickets to loyal fans, but the question is, how many tickets are being sold to new fans? Well, I think if you're going to have a run of bad shows, you're going to drive people away. Yeah. That's always going to happen. The positive is that there's kids finding WWE for the first time every week. So you're always going to lose viewers. You're always going to gain viewers. And, you know, that is always going to change depending on the quality of the show. So I would imagine last year was probably not a great year for casuals and keeping as many casuals as what we had. So, yeah, I'd imagine it was challenging. But there is always kids finding wrestling on TV or on social media that kind of get into it, right? So you will always hopefully be able to attract new viewers, but only at a certain rate. You know, every year they'll probably have this data, by the way. We won't know it, but they will. Every year, X amount of people discover WWE for the first time. That could be a number that kind of grows as population grows, but it's probably pretty steady. I wouldn't imagine it's like all over the place. I'd imagine it's a pretty steady sort of, this is how many people find us or start watching. First-time viewers, yeah? I'd imagine as population grows around the world, that graph probably goes up. The more interesting graph would be if they've got data on how many people have left, because that, I think, is that's going to depend more on creative. I think if creative's good, your retention is going to be higher. If creative is poor, then obviously you're going to lose more people. So that graph, if they had that data, which I don't know if they would, but if they had that data, that would be very interesting. But you know, there's whole departments that kind of look into the viewing figures, the breakdowns, the analytics. They just pull together all these metrics because it's such useful information. So yeah, it's an interesting one to ponder, that how many people kind of leave wrestling each year. I don't think I've ever seen a number on that. Rapturous says, do we think Javon will confront Penta? Could he even answer the open challenge if Penta does one? Yeah, he could, yeah. Javon said during commercial break last week that he wants to go after the IC title. So if Penta does an open challenge, which he's doing on Monday, then yes, Javon Evans absolutely could answer that. We might get a bit of outside interference. I think the plan is to do like that as a multi-person match. So it could be Javon Penta, outside interference. That brings another person in. You can quite quickly get to a multi-person match, can't you? LA Knight might get involved, or because I don't know what the landing spot for LA Knight is. We don't know what he's doing at Mania at the moment. So he might find a way into that. So yeah, I would think you were onto something there. Days, does the decline in SmackDown reflect on Nick Aldis? Does he get any blame? I love Nick and Mickey. Is he going to survive? I don't think he would get any blame, to be honest. He's the TV GM, isn't he? I mean, I think they're not going to want to bring up any struggles with the show on the show, because they're going to want everyone thinking the show's amazing, everything's great, ratings are crazy. You know, you don't want the optics to be that people think this is bad. So they're not going to mention it on the show. So his character is not going to be confronted with anything like that. And behind the scenes, I don't think he has great involvement in the creative process. I think he might do a bit of producing, but I don't believe he's part of the creative team. I would say there's pressure on the creative team. And that pressure will come from the ratings, will come from fan feedback. If all of that is positive, then everything's great. If that is negative, then there is going to be pressure on those teams. I don't think Nick Aldis is part of those teams. Big Time said, Dave's wrestlers are in a tough position in the sense that WWE doesn't have time to try and get them over. So once you get called up, you need that instant connection. If you look at Trick and Oba, but then look at Fraxium and Julia. I think this is right, and I don't want to blow our own trumpet here, but I think that this is a very well-educated community. And I think that that is a very well-educated comment, because I think that is correct. I think that it is hard to get a true connection. Because don't forget, every time you go to a different town, you're in front of different people. And so, and the mixture is going to be different as well. You know, one audience might be more kids. Another audience might be more IWC, right? And you never quite know from place to place the audience that you play into, right? There's obviously going to be big similarities. We're all watching the same product. So there's going to be big similarities. But, you know, there are going to be these differences as well. And actually, Heyman said that. He said, I think it was to Becky, one of my favorite things is the fact that we play to different audiences all the time. It keeps me on my toes. It keeps things fresh and interesting. So the truth is that if you want to get people over, it is a difficult process, because what might work in one town won't work as well in another, you know? I mean, we see amazing crowd reactions in one town, and then the next crowd will be dead. And, you know, the shows might not be that different, but it's just one's really feeling it, really into it. The other crowds, they need bringing in, right? So these challenges of trying to get people over are very, very real. It is difficult. Oba is making it look incredibly easy. You would look at how Oba has done it, and you'd be like, well, that's it, isn't it? I mean, it's worked for him. But I can't stress this enough. He is special. He is special. Because even when he was in NXT, we kind of knew that he had that this destroyer. And destroyers get over so easily because they're what you want wrestling to be, really. You know, if you think about wrestling, you think about these two big lumps of guys kind of, you know, knocking each other into shadow realms, and one being good, one being bad. You're kind of cheering on the good guy, blah, 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 blah. I mean, that's basic wrestling 101, right? Doesn't always go that way, but by and large, that's the kind of thing that you expect. Oba is one of those big lumps that can come out. He's got charisma that shows itself with the walk. Yeah, the music is bang on as well. We were talking about the importance of music, where they've got his music bang on, right? There's a chant for the fans. Oba, Oba, Oba. So the fans are involved. They're involved physically. They're involved vocally, right? The aura of him coming out, this big giant of a man who's absolutely jacked, you know, making his way down, doing his walk. I mean, it's the whole shebang in it. We got a catchphrase, we've got a physical movement, we got the music. It's all there. Everything's there. It's the complete package. And we found it, what can take people years and years and years. They found it straight out the gate in NXT. I mean, he pretty much just arrived straight away. And I seem to remember him winning a breakout tournament, and I think challenging for the belt and winning it. I mean, he went from, I don't know who this guy is, to, oh my God, he's champion, so quickly in NXT. I remember going, are we moving too quick with this guy? Like, he's come from nowhere. But, I mean, they knew what they were doing. They knew that they wanted him to have a lengthy run with the mid-card belt. They knew they were excited by him. And, yeah, I mean, they just, to the moon. We went to the moon. But he makes it look so easy that, you know, but that's just not a true reflection for most people. You know, for most people, you got to work. for years. And you look at Theory. Look at Johnny Gargano. Johnny Gargano was massively over in NXT and it just has not translated to the main roster yet. And it wasn't translating for Tommaso Ciampa either. And it hasn't been working for Austin Theory. And then you flip in, you know, think about how long Sami Zayn has been and all the different things he's done. I mean, we could be in a situation where Oba could get to a world title before the end of the year, whereas Sami has been on the main roster since, 2015? And he's never been world champion. Finn Balor has won a world championship once, universal title for 24 hours. And I would not be shocked if Oba gets a longer run than Finn Balor had by the end of this year. If Oba completes 2 days of being champion, he will have had a longer run than what Finn Balor ever has. So he is making it look shockingly easy, and it is not that easy. So we have got something truly special with him, which is why, I agree, he can't lose at WrestleMania. I think he's either got to win or we've got to do like a no contest, brawling in the crowd, double count out. It might be shenanigans and people might not be pleased with it, but if you don't want Brock to lose, then you've got to go that way, haven't you? Because I don't think the worst case scenario is that Oba loses. I don't think they would do that. They have a Rise and Fall WCW documentary on WWE Vaults. Are you interested in a watch along? Not really. Not with documentaries, because you have to do a lot of sitting and listening, to be honest. There's a lot of sitting and listening to documentaries, which is difficult to do. I think what I would be interested in, I haven't seen them advertise this yet, but what I would be interested in is I would be interested in them doing WrestleMania watch-alongs on a Sunday. Because we're getting closer, aren't we, to WrestleMania? And normally they put on shows live, old PLEs. I'd be very interested in doing those. And you've kind of inspired me to just double check and see that there's none coming up, actually. Haven't seen any advertised, but it is normally around this time of year where they will start putting up stuff. Let's go live. Yeah, they've just got a WCW Monday Night War marathon thing. The last time they did a watch-along, we did it. It was Royal Rumble 1991, 2 months ago. 2 months ago. Last year, they did WrestleMania 3, which we did. WrestleMania 24, which we did. WrestleMania 6, which we did. And WrestleMania 9, which we definitely did, because I got a soft spot for that. So we did all of those. We did 4 WrestleManias leading up to WrestleMania last year. I haven't seen them do a single one this year. So I would be interested in that. Right, let's get over, shall we? It is time. Let's go. King Yeti, hello, buds. King Yeti says, how are you today, Days? I'm good, thank you. I'm good. I'm feeling pretty good. Looking forward to just watching a bit of AAA. And, boom. There we go. Have they got 2 lives at the same time? Can you do that now? Oh, I didn't know you could do that now. So you can do 2 live streams at the same time. Ooh. Didn't know that. Didn't know that. They've got a best of WrestleMania main events just running. But yeah, you used to be only able to do 1 at any one time. Okay, I've got it's up and it's just about to begin. Then, now, forever together, forever together, forever. Right, Spanish come in. Is it going to be Spanish? No, we've been having JBL. We've been having JBL, Rey Mysterio, and Corey Graves. They've been kind of translating. It's been honestly, I've been really enjoying AAA. Okay, so this is the final week of the Rey De Reyes. I think we've seen this open before, haven't we? The iron sharpens iron stuff. Show is about to go live, says Karen. Yes. Flame said his name isn't King Yeti, it's King Chili McFreeze. Let's go. Big Time said there's too many wrestlers that need their hands to be held. Like, what do you want me to do? Sometimes wrestlers just don't go to the lengths that Chelsea will go to. That's true. She's been saying that, actually. Where others turn opportunities down, she is ready to take them. So, and that is true. Okay, we've just got the intro at the moment. The Cruiserweight Fatal 4-Way. Just got a video package for that. Days, do we think WWE has got a hard time booking wrestlers who debuted in NXT UK? They're the only ones with some level of success as Gunther, Elia, Kaiser in a grey area. No, I don't think so. I don't think there's any connection there. It wouldn't really make sense why that would be a barrier or a problem. You know, they can obviously speak English, so there's no language barrier. But I mean, like, I think the way that they've got Gunther's fine. I mean, he's the longest reigning Intercontinental Champion. He retired John Cena, retired AJ Styles. He would be at WrestleMania facing Rey. It's just taking work. It just does take work to get people to that level, you know? I mean, look at the work it took to get Cody up there. I mean, it wasn't working, was it, when he was Stardust and everything? So it just takes a lot of work. I don't think there's any issue with NXT UK talent. Lyra, you know, has been successful. She came through NXT UK. Elia, I think, will be absolutely fine. He just suffered with an injury, didn't he? He was out for like 12 months. So he's had like a nasty injury. So, no, I don't think there's... I can't really make an argument as to why that would be like, you know, a big problem. Sean, shout out to you, my friend. Firing in some Wrestling Days memberships. Appreciate it, buds. Okay, we got Corey Graves talking. We're just watching people arrive. Okay, there's Omos. There's Vikingo. He's going to be calling out Penta tonight. Maybe Vikingo. Could Vikingo find himself at WrestleMania? Maybe Vikingo could be one of the people in the multi-person match. There's a couple of parents with their kids. Doing the walk. Okay, here's Jack Cartwheel. Very impressive. Yeah, these graphics, this entrance music, so much better. I can't quite remember what it was like when we were watching him in Evolve. He used to be a partner of Cappuccino Jones. They were known as Adrenaline Drip. We were quite excited by that team. But here he is making his way down. We're going to open with the banger. We're going to open up with the Fatal 4-Way match. Jack Cartwheel in the ring. Flipping upside down. Is everywhere? Blooming hell. Yeah, very, very eye-catching performer. Okay. TJ Perkins. I haven't seen this guy in so long. TJP. I like his music. TJ Perkins making his way down to the ring. Oh, got a bit of mist on the go. This match is going to bang, innit? This match is going to bang. Flame Fist said, Days, can you do a cartwheel? I don't think I can do a cartwheel, to be honest. I don't know how to do the flame. This is, I might be able to do a handstand. Can I do a handstand? That is good. Oh, that is good. Oh. That was sick. That was sick. I've been working on that for a good couple of weeks. Okay, we haven't missed anything. People are still making their way out. Here's Laredo kids. Academizer? Is that how you say it? You should do a whole stream upside down with no explanation. That could be. I could do that. I could do that. I'm confused. Don't be confused. Where else can I go? I'm down here now. I don't like any of these options. Yeah, this is going to be sick. Ooh, let's flip me round. That's... Okay. Here we go. What a beautiful title, says Ray. I'm digging the green and the bell has sounded. So this is for the Cruiserweight Championship. Kicks coming in there by TJ Perkins. Going over against the ropes. Bang. I love the gold. That looks very classy. Yeah, World Cruiserweight Championship on the line. Okay, Dragon Lee. Dragon Lee's looking very nice in gold at the moment. Drop kick. Down goes Laredo Kid. Down goes TJP. Kick coming in there by Dragon Lee. Here's Cartwheel. Oh, he just threw his junk right in the face of Dragon Lee. He went charging over, spread his legs out. He got his junk right in his face, mate. Right in his face. Okay, over the other side, Laredo reverses TJP. Whoop, against the ropes, cartwheel. Takes him down. Oh, here we go. Laredo! Tope Suicida! Formerly known as a suicide dive. Bang. Yeah, good work. Good work. Good work by Jack Cartwheel. Come on, Cartwheel! Kick coming in there by TJP. Round the back. Dragon Lee. Missile drop kick there by Cartwheel. TJP goes down. Oh, splits by Cartwheel. Kick by Cartwheel. Dragon Lee going over to the corner. In the corner goes Cartwheel. Laredo in. Colliding hard into Cartwheel. Super kick. Down goes Laredo. Lovely work there by Cartwheel into a net breaker. That looked nice. Cartwheel back up on his feet, getting scooped up. Oh, into a driver. Into a driver. Laredo. Ooh, kind of moonsault, but flipped it into an elbow. 1, 2, Dragon. No, shoulder up. Shoulder up. Action, action, action. That's what we've got. Suzanne said, don't make me come to your house. Well, you can come round, Suzanne, but you're going to have to get me off the ceiling. Good luck with that. Nice. Take your beanie off. I can't. If I take my beanie off, all my hair's going to go flying down, isn't it? Because of gravity. That's how gravity works. Guys, I'm back. I felt it was too much of a distraction. And we're back, baby. Okay, right now, TJ with Laredo. Oh, that's nice. Look at that. Double abdominal stretch. That's nice. Right now, he's got Jack Cartwheel. Working on the eyes of Jack Cartwheel. Cartwheel, though, still cartwheeling, backflipping. Oh, my God. That was so impressive. Double Pele kick there by Jack Cartwheel. Jack Cartwheel is like a flipping video game. Some of that was sick, man. He just did like these crazy cartwheels to avoid some of these shots. Okay, I think the fans are chanting, this is awesome. Right now, TJP in control. Is keeping Jack Cartwheel down in the corner. TJP. Big boot there by Cartwheel. Big boot by Cartwheel. Laredo kids. Oh, kick coming in there by Dragon. Dragon throwing Cartwheel. Oh. I don't even know if he meant to do that stomp. He went over the top rope, came crashing down onto TJP. I don't even know if he knew he was there. He's delivering offense that I don't even think he knows he's meant to be delivering. This is just what a performance from Cartwheel. What an amazing performance. Oh, Laredo! Spiking Cartwheel on his head. Lovely suplex there by TJP. Kick is blocked. Big boot coming in by Dragon Lee. Yeah, it's true. Corey Graves is like, I can't even speak as fast as the moves they're doing, and it's so true. This is crazy. This is a banger, said Happy Ballin. Jack is awesome, said Suzanne. That sweep, though, said Flame Fist. Okay, right now we've got all 4 guys down. Rey Mysterio said they need to strategize. They need to find a way of knocking out a couple of the others. Against the ropes. Drop kick there by Laredo. TJP to the outside. Laredo gets clotheslined. Cartwheel. Whoa! Dudes! How is he doing these things? Cartwheel against the ropes. Cartwheels, backflips to the outside. Oh my God. Why are we wasting this guy in AAA? Get him on Raw. Get him on Raw. Get him on SmackDown. Put him... Have him... Gunther needs to stand in the ring and issue an open challenge. We need to bring Jack Cartwheel out and we need to blow a lot of people's minds. Oh my God. Remember the name. Big chop coming in there by Laredo. I'm liking Jack Cartwheel, said James. This is a star-making performance. I agree. He is in there with some serious talent and he is shining bright. Maybe the brightest, actually. TJP, 1, 2. Stomp coming in there by Dragon Lee. This is one of those moments where genuinely at the end of the year, you could go, did you ever see that Fatal 4-Way with Jack Cartwheel? It was just around WrestleMania time. Oh my God, it was such an amazing match. But what a performance from him. This is one of those, this is why we watch AAA, like, this is why we watch Evolve. Because there's these things that go on within the WWE universe that we need to be aware of. Big knee there by Dragon Lee. Cartwheel going up. Cartwheel perched. Big clubbing blow to the back there by Dragon. Dragon on the shoulders. Ow. Whoa! My God! Into a Styles. Jack Cartwheel gets caught. Styles Clash Dragon. 1, 2. Did the ref have to give up? I'm not sure if the fans are happy with that. Yeah, I don't think the fans are happy. I don't think Laredo made it in time. A lot of people think Dragon Lee got the 3, says Corey. Guys, we got controversy. We got controversy. We got shenanigans. JBL's saying that this ref has been a little bit suspect over his whole career, actually. Kick coming in there by Dragon. Big knee coming back there by Dragon. Oof. Didn't love that. Dragon Lee got dumped on his head. Sort of no-sold it. Screamed out, delivered a knee, and now starts selling it. This match, it really loses something when Jack Cartwheel's not in there. The referee is not up to Jack Cartwheel's standard. Shot coming in there by Dragon Lee. Dragon Lee going over, climbing up. Miss Clown said, what do you expect? He's wearing braces. It's a cool look, but it is suspect. It's a great point, Miss Clown. It's a great point. I think we knew there was going to be shenanigans when we saw the braces. So... Corey Graves said he's lost for words and he gets paid to talk. Okay, right now, Jack Cartwheel is climbing up. He's going for something really big here. Big. Oh, no, it's blocked. No joy. Ah, big stomp to the back of the head there by Dragon Lee. Dragon Lee. Operation Dragon might get it for him too. Oh my God, the referee again has to... I swear that was another 3. I swear that's another 3. He could 1, 2, and he has to like wait again for TJP to make the save. Shots being exchanged back and forth here by Laredo. It's a banger of a match. It's still going to get a great score. Of course it is. But there are just a couple of referee moments in there which... It's not really his fault. They need to be breaking up the pins, but you got to count it. Dragon Lee. Would they let him do that stuff in WWE? Yeah, sure. Bang, but no one else is doing it. Against the ropes, looking for a suplex. Just got to be careful about, like, dumping people on their heads and stuff like that. But a lot of the cartwheeling out the way and, you know, a lot of his moveset, I think, is very transferable. Dragon Lee goes over the top. Yeah, seems to grab his leg as he lands on the outsides. TJP with the belt. No. Laredo. Oh, 1, 2. Oh. 2 count. TJP was using the ropes. Now he's trying to get Laredo up on his shoulders. He's got him on his shoulders. Oh, reverse Rana, poison Rana. Laredo in control. Jack Cartwheel on the outsides. Dragon Lee on the outside. He was grabbing his leg as well. I hope everything's okay there. Laredo charging him. Big right hands. Down goes TJP. TJP, I think, sensing that belt, is slipping away. Oh. Julia uses that stomp to the back of the heads. Laredo gets the win. And it's a banger in it. It's a banger. Guys, I'm going to say it. I think that was better than Jelly Roll against Kit Wilson. I'm going to say it. It's not going to be popular, but... Okay, so Rey Fénix is coming down, but I don't... Is he going to challenge for this Cruiserweight belt? So Laredo has retained. Well, he's looking at that belt, isn't he? He's looking at that belt. Okay, so it looks like Rey Fénix is next for Laredo. Okay, we're backstage with Flammer. For almost 1,000 days, no one has been able to take this title away from me. You can mention them all. I've defeated them all. Okay, they're talking about some girl. Susie Love. Once I've beaten all the luchadoras in Mexico, on April 11th, I'm going to hold the biggest celebration anyone has ever seen. Celebrities. Boys. Hello. Hola. Boys. We're going to have boys at the celebration. Love it. Hopefully Tommy Toy Travels will be there. Two Goliaths? Okay, this will be good because I don't know the flipping backstory to this. Okay, we're watching, we're learning. Thick thighs save lives, said Big Migs Gaming. Al Fiscal against Abismo coming up next. I don't think I've seen these two before. He's got like a flamethrower, isn't he? So is that just like a lighter and then he's using like aerosol? But he was just shooting fire then. I mean, I wonder if that features in this match. Okay. AAA is enjoyable as hell. Something we couldn't say about SmackDown. I watched a Lucha Channel video about these guys, says Rob. Okay. Corey said, this is going to be like Red Ranger against Green Ranger. Yes! Jennifer said, celebrations in wrestling always go well. That's true. Although this one's going to have boys. It's a long video package, isn't it? Long video package. Word Life Cinefan, hello, said, do we think that Bianca could distract Jade at Mania? Maybe Rhea wins. Then we do Jade Bianca. That could get underway. In my opinion, a title is not needed for that feud. Yes, I think there's a very good possibility we could do that. Yes. Yeah, I think it's a good shout. I'd be way more excited the belt being on Rhea after Mania than it being on Jade. We're going to have a fight on our hands. I can't remember the names. Abismo. El Fiscal. Well, I don't know how long we're going to go with this match. We do still have Penta and Vikingo. JBL said there's two sides to every story. Dave, so we're going to watch this weekly or just Rey De Reyes? Just Rey De Reyes, to be honest, but the problem is that there's always stuff going on a Saturday. Saturday is like the worst night for a wrestling show. Because, I mean, there's going to be, like, WrestleMania. There's going to be, you know, Saturday night's main event. There's always going to be stuff on. Okay, no opening bell. We're just underway. Phantom, hello, my friends. Appreciate it. Phantom firing in some gifted memberships. Appreciate it, buds. Bang through the ropes, suicide dive. We are underway. Big Time said, how do we think JC, Lola, Jada will fare on the main roster? Because while not Ober levels, they are ticking boxes. JC gets babyface's reactions both in and out of the PC. I wouldn't expect them to get reactions really straight out of the gate. JC didn't when she first arrived. It took her time and it took kind of fatal influence. But yeah, when you go to the main roster, you kind of start again. Jada will get some nice reaction. There's no one there that's getting, I mean, Ober special. You're going to have to work with all of those. I mean, if Julia is struggling, that should tell you kind of everything you need to know, really. Because she's, you know, she's a fantastic in-ring performer. Coming over from Japan. Granted, there's a language barrier there that some of those others might not have, but it's going to take a lot of work. Shots coming in back and forth between these two. Knee coming into the midsection. Chop coming in. I think it's Abismo that's in control. They are two kind of bigger guys, aren't they? Back elbow. Steve said they should put AAA in the SmackDown time slot for 1 week and see how it goes. It would never happen, but it would be very interesting, said Steve. It would be interesting. Bully Ray suggested Gunther should do a retirement open challenge. If they lose, they retire. Who would you see accept? Rob Van Dam? You'd want someone that's, you know, pretty much... You'd want Jeff Hardy. Matt Hardy. I mean, if they've got to decide that it's time. So... You know, there's enough people that are kind of out there that would be willing to come in and have one final match. And for it to be at WrestleMania, it's a gift, actually, for a lot of people. A real, what an amazing way to end out your career, you know? So I think there'd be quite a few names that you could put in the pot for that. I mean, I don't know the physical condition of Booker T, but I wouldn't be down on Booker T answering the challenge. Booker T retiring at WrestleMania. Wade Barrett. What about we put a bow on Wade Barrett's career if it's done? So yeah, lots. Yeah, it's a good shout. Kick coming in. Drop kick. Against the ropes. Whoa, that was sick. Kick coming in. The big man bounces off the ropes. I thought he was going to, like, spill to the outside. He did a really good job there of staying in the ring. Big shots coming in, raining down. It's a very different vibe, this, from our first match, of course, but... Noche de los Grandos is going to be on the 30th of May. Okay, looks like he's coming back into this. Michael Cole could finally end that stupid undefeated streak, said David. Oh, what? Have Michael retire? Nick Aldis said Hawkins. Bobby Roode said Mr. Unfamiliar. Great suggestions. Yep, great suggestions. Did you see the interview with Tyson Kidd? He said the wrestling schedule is just not good for WWE due to the lack of reps. I think he's bang on. Big Migs, I think he's absolutely right. A lot of people are speaking out about it now in WWE. They want more reps. Yeah. It's funny, isn't it? Like, house shows weren't really making much money. So you would imagine that by losing them and giving the wrestlers more time off, they would love that. But there is a massive downside to that. Clothesline. And again, Fiscal in control. Oh, I think he was trying to drive him into the corner, but they both kind of collapsed down. It looked a bit messy, that, to be honest. Looked a bit messy, that did. Shot coming in. El Fiscal. Inzaguri. He's got him in the middle of the ring. He's looking to pick him up. Oh. Okay. Abismo has got El Fiscal in the corner. Kick coming into the midsection. Throws him back into the corner. They wanted more time at home, and now they're realizing that the grass isn't always greener on the other side, said Big Migs. Casey, hello. Hope you're doing well. Bang. Oh, roll through. 1, 2, 3. Oh, well, it's done. It's done. El Fiscal. Okay, but they're still fighting. They're still brawling. El Fiscal has got the win. That match didn't do much for me, to be honest. I'm not sure it did much for you guys. We can have a look. I can tell you the first match, though, great 91. How crazy is that? Great 91. Get your scores in for this one. I feel sorry for it because it had to follow the first one. But right now we're over at the commentary table. Tombstone. Oh! Abismo with a tombstone. We've got a stretcher. Stretcher's coming in. We're having to stretcher him away. Abismo Negro being carried away. We got one more segment to go. This was a slow match with a really bad finish. Susie Love against Flammer next week. El Macias is in action. Okay, here we go then. Time for our final segment. And that is, oh God, this thing was so worth watching just for that first match. I mean, that first match has guaranteed that this stream was worth doing. So I'm not even bothered what really happens, but it is Vikingo. Vikingo is coming out with Omos. Homo sapiens rise. Omos is making his way down to the ring. Okay, Vikingo's in there. Vikingo is shorter than every single woman I have dated. Okay, let's see what's going to get said. They're obviously calling out Penta. They don't look happy. Okay, shut up and let me talk. This man has been betrayed by his people. Okay, the fans are booing him. This is obviously the same crowd that watched last week's show and the week before. They will have seen a lot of wrestling by this point. I like Vikingo. I wouldn't have a problem with Vikingo finding his way into a WrestleMania match against Penta. Vikingo sucks. Sign. Okay, he's going off on mini Vikingo. They should put Omos with Oba as like a silent enforcer. Says Academizer. Big Time said, Days probably won't ever happen, but imagine if there was a way we could send creative ideas and pitches, help tighten up the areas. We do talk with Logic and Eat, Sleep and Breathe WWE. I agree. It'd be good. I mean, why not just do that? Reach out to fans and just have someone just jotting, like going through stuff and jotting down interesting things. Even if you just get a page of the best of them, pass that over. It's got to be worth someone sat at head office being paid to just compile that, you know? You've had the best wrestler in the world and you haven't given me respect, says Vikingo. Do we think Gacy and Loomis can get themselves over as singles competitors? Yeah, I mean, I'd never say never. There might need to be some tweaks, changes. Obviously, presentation would have to improve a lot. I mean, they don't tend to talk very much, so, I mean, you'd need to make changes to that. But, yeah. Gacy was doing okay in NXT. Vikingo said, we're going after that Intercontinental title. He's calling out Penta, saying that he's got a stupid little dance. His zero miedo. Just get out here and accept this challenge. Penta's coming out. Here's Penta. Days, imagine that they said You are Cody fan. You get the characters. Give me about 10 bullet points on creative ideas to pivot forwards. Yeah, be great. As you said, though, they're just not going to do that, are they? Okay, Penta in the ring. Still feel like we got loads of time. Still got like 14 minutes. How are we going to fill 14 minutes? Is it true what you're saying? Okay. When I left AAA, you was a great wrestler. You're talking about WrestleMania. You're talking about leaving? Where you going? Raw? This could be interesting. This could be more interesting than I thought. Vikingo talking about leaving. Everyone hates you here. Okay, we got... Okay, Penta getting in the face of Vikingo. You don't even have the respect of your mother. This could be interesting, said Jennifer. I agree. It's kind of hard to talk about because they're talking, but they're talking in Spanish. So I'm having to look at how they're interacting. And then I have to wait to listen to what Ray has got to say. So I just find myself sitting here doing a lot of watching and a lot of listening. But I can't do much talking. April 11th. Mexico City. Penta's like, all right. Yeah. April 11th. Done. That's April 11th. That's the week before WrestleMania. Here's the walk you were complaining about. I like that. Pushes him. Okay, well, April 11th. Mexico City. IC titles getting defended. That's 1 week before WrestleMania. I mean, like, something could go down there that then leads to Mania. Two weeks. Right, there we go. Not what I was expecting. I really felt like it was leading towards a WrestleMania announcement, but this thing's ending like 10 minutes early as well. just be ready, because I'm going to be ready. Penta just talking to the fans. Loads of Penta signs. There we go. Jacob said, ending already? I'm glad I didn't pay for that. Yeah, that's a shame. Clock's out at 51 minutes past. I did wonder how they were going to make it an hour. I mean, this one didn't even go an hour. So that's a bit of a shame. Second match was not that great. You lot scored the second match. Good 87. So, yeah, that second match didn't deliver. The first match, though, I mean, wow. As I said, I'm not down on having done this stream. No regrets on my part for having done this stream. It was absolutely worth it just for that opening match. That fatal four-way, the Jack Cartwheel performance, fantastic. So, yeah, no problems this end. But, yeah, it's a shame that second match couldn't have been stronger. It's the same shame that the announcement wasn't a bit bigger. I really thought it was going to be WrestleMania connected, but hey ho. NXT Stand and Deliver next week. Yes, looking forward to that. David, shout out to you. I saw a Mexican green shirt guy in the crowd, says Eli Baker. Yes, hope you're doing well, buds. Car said, are you going to do that 11th of April stream? I don't know, to be honest, but I know next week we've got Stand and Deliver, but I just tend to go from week by week kind of a thing, you know. Ronnie said, Days, WWE doesn't have a lack of talent, but they do have a lack of talented writers to boost the roster. They've ruined LA. Gunther's not done much since AJ and Cena. And what is WWE doing with how they are dry with ideas? Well, they did try to refresh the creative teams. Obviously, we know that Road Dogg's gone. They promoted a woman as the lead writer of SmackDown. Raw, sorry, that seems to at the moment be goods. But yeah, SmackDown is just a real struggle at the moment. So clearly there's work that still needs to be done. The one thing I would say is that I think a lot of what we're seeing now was probably mapped out, finalized in February. I think like they tend to work in blocks. Whenever you look at WWE Unreal, you can see all the episodes mapped out on the whiteboards. So it's not like they just book each episode each week. They do a lot in advance. So I think like between now and Mania, I think we know what we're doing. I think it's locked in. So any tweaks to the creative teams at the moment might not show until after Mania. And really, I see after Mania, post-Mania as a big slate wiping sort of thing. I mean, that's when we can do drafts, and that's when we can call people up, and that's when, you know, it's just we wipe the slate clean. It feels to me like WrestleMania is kind of the big season finale, and then Monday Night Raw is the premiere episode again. That's how it's always felt to me. So I would say right now we're just locked in to get into where we need to get to, telling the story that we have committed to telling. But hopefully any changes, any improvements are going to really show themselves kind of post-Mania. Dad Stuff said, is there any chance that we do get Vikingo taking the title before Mania? Maybe joining that multi-person match. Maybe he gets screwed over, thrown into the match. Yeah, I do think there's a good chance that the one will play into the other. I was expecting them to announce him to be in the Mania match. Instead, it's the week before. But I think you're absolutely right. Something goes down, which he could win thanks to Omos, and then he gets added to the Mania match. I mean, I think it would be good. for him to be at Mania because he's a fantastic talent. People aren't going to really know much about him, but it doesn't matter because if it's a multi-person match, if there's one person in the match you don't really know much about, that's fine. Doesn't matter, does it? You know the others. So you can learn about him. And it's just a great way of advertising and promoting AAA, mentioning AAA. Some people might not even know AAA exists. So having some sort of AAA presence at WrestleMania, no bad thing. So, yeah, I mean, it makes a lot of sense to have him in there. So, yeah, this could be how we get to that. So, yeah, you could be correct. Karen said Gunther was meant to work with Rey, but Rey got injured, and that's caused problems. That's true. Imagine they could make SmackDown and Raw goods. What a crazy idea, said Zortz. Well, I think there's times where they are achieving this. I mean, like, I think Raw is in an okay place. I don't think it's a disaster by any means. It's getting like 7s out of me at the moment. SmackDown is the one that needs a bit of help. But I honestly, I'm really down for a post-Mania draft, big refresh, and just, kind of just freshen everything back up again. And continue building the likes of Braun and Ober and Trick, LA Knight, just keep working with them. I mean, I think post-Mania last year, we got it wrong. We were focused on Vision, which just was spluttering throughout the summer, just didn't really, land. And we were focused on a John Cena heel run, which didn't really work, right? I think that those were our top focuses last year. And for me, like, this kind of summer, I think it could be more constructive. I think that we could be in a better place. We could really, make some progress. So I think this has been a better WrestleMania season than last year, but that's a low bar. So I'm quite optimistic this will be a better summer than last year. But again, it's quite a low bar. So staying optimistic. Carr said, I think Undertaker is a fantastic booker. I'm surprised that Mr. Iguana wasn't there on the 3rd week. Flamefist said maybe Mr. Iguana could be at Mania. Maybe. Yeah, it's another way of promoting AAA, isn't it? Yeah. Jennifer said, looking at the injured list, you could put on an awesome show. I think it's hard to use that as an excuse, though, because you've always got injuries. So you are correct. But I think that it's something that you've kind of got to have built in, that every year you're going to have, and pretty much all the time, whatever point in the year, you're always going to have an injured list. And sometimes it'll be a bit worse than others. Perhaps now it's a little bit worse than usual. But yeah, I wouldn't really have much tolerance for that being used as an excuse, unless it was something truly exceptional, unless it was like significant amount of the roster is injured. I mean, one thing we're not struggling with is talent. There's a lot of talented performers. WWE has got lots of wrestlers on its books, lots of talent. If someone gets injured, it's just an opportunity for someone else to step up. So, but you are right. There are a lot of injuries at the moment. Karen said the Vision wasn't working because 3 of them have had time off with injuries. Well, I'm talking about last summer when they were all around. I don't think the group was really hitting the way that I think they wanted it to. I think they sort of felt this was going to be like Seth's bloodline kind of a thing, but just felt like Braun was still a work in progress. Bronson was, I don't know, I mean, what is there to Bronson apart from him being like a big guy? There was no exploration of the characters. There was very little backstage interaction. I enjoyed Bronson splashing Roman repeatedly. I think it was that Clash in Paris. There were moments, but on the weekly shows, just there was a real lack of substance. So yeah, I mean, they're struggling at the moment with injuries, but last year, when the group first got together, I think like it was struggling a little bit. I think we can put on a product that's better than that this year. Do we think they'll pull the trigger and do a main event push for Rollins and try one more time to get him to a Roman level? Or do you think they don't trust him now with injuries, said Zorts? It's an interesting one, that. It's an interesting one. I think this was a massive moment for Seth. I don't think he'll be too worried about it because, you know, it's Seth. He's always going to get opportunities. I would imagine for the stage that he's at in his career, him being like Roman is probably not going to happen because, I mean, he's going to have to main event a lot of WrestleManias and I don't know. I feel like he is towards the end of his career, right? I don't know how much longer he thinks he's got left, but I think he is definitely someone that's feeling the effects of the career that he's had now. But I think they will work with him, and I think they'll try and get as much out of him as they can. But him being like a Roman and main event in the next night 2 main events of WrestleMania, probably not. The next like 3 of those or whatever, you know. I think that he's someone that you can rely on. He can eat up a lot of TV time. He can be a face, he can be a heel, he can be in a faction. There's loads of different ways that you can use Seth. But I think he'll just be like part of the picture going forwards. He's a big piece. I mean, he's one of their top stars. He's still going to be around titles and title opportunities. But I don't know. I don't know that they're now going to try and create another group for him, you know. I think the Vision was a massive opportunity. And one that because of injury, for various reasons, might now have sort of passed him by. Carr said, I noticed that we need more Demon Ito. We haven't seen him since last year. Big Time said, do we think that there can be some staleness? Oh, yeah, definitely. Of course. Yeah, of course. Like in the year 2030, are we still going to have more Usos, New Day, Sammy, Miz? Well, I mean, there can be staleness. Of course, people can go stale and then they have to reinvent themselves. And I would argue that's happening with Cody, right? So that kind of need to reinvent and move forwards, come up with a new catchphrase, new graphics, you know. This is why not going face heel on a regular basis is good, because that's one of the biggest things that you can do if you are struggling. So, you know, if you feel that things going stale, you can always think about switching it up, right? But with Cody, I'm reluctant to do that because I think we might need that a little further down the road. It's a card you can play, but I'm just reluctant to play it now because I think I might need it later. And I think there's still things we haven't tried. So that's the point I keep making with Cody, is that I'd like to keep that card in my back pocket for when I really need it. And especially when I look at the situation and I still feel like there's a lot that we haven't done with Cody. Tried, you know, to make him the more appealing option out of the person that he's facing. So, yeah, I think that the staleness is a massive part, and it's happening all the time. You know, people are kind of going off the boil, and, you know, their characters have sort of run the course. Something new and exciting comes along, and so there's a case of, like, freshening it up. Yeah, there's a lot of that goes on. Seth was talking the other day, said Edwards. He's closer to the end than the beginning. He could hang up within like a year or 2. Oh, wow. Interesting. Ronnie said, not comparing WWE to UFC, but injuries happen in UFC and you can't control if a fighter gets hurt. But Sugar Sean could make a name if WWE controls the names and fumbles. But Sugar Sean could make a name. WWE controls the names and fumbles. Don't know what you mean. Are you saying that Sugar Sean got himself over, so how can WWE not get people over? Because I would say they are getting people over. I mean, Roman's over, Punk's over, you know, they're working with Gunther, they're working with all these people. I mean, you could name a lot of fighters in UFC that are not over. There's a hell of a lot of them that aren't over, that rock up to press conferences and are very underwhelming. In fact, there's been a conversation in UFC about, do UFC fighters need media training? Because actually so many of them sit at the press conferences and are not very animated when it comes to answering the questions. And so there's been a conversation about, do you need to give them a helping hand here? If they showed a bit of charisma, right, they could achieve so much more. But to be honest, a lot of fighters are just fighters. Do you know what I mean? Like, they didn't grow up like working on their charisma. They just sort of got their head down, worked in the gym, and just, you know, they're just there to get paid, do the job, get paid. They're not there to come out with who the F is that guy type lines. They're not there to, you know, have bants at the press conferences. You know, if anything, the press conference is a little bit like an inconvenience. Like, don't really want to be on stage in front of these people having to answer questions. I just want to get in the octagon. I want to smash my opponent. So actually, there's a lot of fighters in the UFC that are not over, that have not made that connection. And there's, you know, a conversation around, do we need to give them media training? Dana answered that question. And the answer he gave, I thought, was actually quite good. He said, I don't want to do that, because if I train everyone in media training, you're going to have a load of people acting the same way. I would much rather that people just act as themselves. And if you like them, you like them. And if you don't, you don't. So it comes down to that, doesn't it? If you're Conor McGregor and you can think on your feet and you're quite witty and quite funny, and you can back it up in the octagon, the world is your oyster. And someone like Sugar Sean that's very charismatic, the world is your oyster. But let's not pretend that there's not hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of UFC fighters that are flipping dull as dishwater. There's loads of them that are dull as dishwater. Really dull. So I would say that, you know, it's WWE is in a situation where they are working to get people over, and they are successful at getting people over. But it's true that there's people that they are also struggling with. And case-by-case basis, it could be the wrestler, it could be the creative, it could be the music sucks and the presentation isn't right. It could be outside things, you know, it could be outside issues that people are going through. It's hard to say, but there's not like one problem that fits everyone. There's lots of reasons as to why people don't get over or struggle to get over. Sometimes that blame can be on the wrestlers themselves. Sometimes, like with Tiffany, she might be trying, but she just doesn't have the experience. She's only been in the system like 3-4 years. So, I mean, she's done everything she knows how to do. She's played every card that she's got. There's just nothing else left for her to do. She doesn't know anything else. So, you know, that's where, like, you know, her struggles might be. But that might not be the problem that Theory has got. Theory's got lots of experience. But that's not his problem, right? His problem is somewhat different. So it's varied as to why people struggle with that. Zort said, I think it's also hard because we found the blueprint for success with the bloodline with Sammy, but you can't just keep repeating that same story. Yeah, that's true. I agree. Yeah. That's the challenge, though. You know, if you work in creative, then your job is to be creative. Your job is to come up with fresh ideas and, you know, interesting storylines, interesting presentations, catchphrases, all this kind of stuff. Like, that's your job. You get paid in this world to do that. You don't have to worry about anything else. You don't have to focus on anything else. You just have to create and just come up with ideas, you know? You don't need to worry about any other things. You're not running a shop, right? You don't have to worry about doing a rota or getting in early to stock the shelves or place orders, serve customers, right? You don't have to worry about any of that. Your one job is create. Yeah, you work in WWE Creative and we need shows. So what does the show look like? What does this character do? How's this feud going to be different from that feud's? How's this group going to be different from that group? And you're also not alone. I mean, these are teams of writers. So there are teams of writers all working on this. So it's not like just one person that's having to do it all either. So, you know, I agree with you. It is hard, but it's not impossible. And it is also the job. Like, that's the job. Being a brain surgeon is hard, but that's the job. And people obviously spend a long time training and getting ready for that job. Creative is hard, and there's lots of challenges with it, but it is also the job. So you're either doing it or you're not doing it. And I think we can agree that there appears to be an issue in that part of WWE at the moment. Whether it's an issue that's going to show itself after Mania, because we know there's been some changes to those teams recently, we're going to have to wait and find out. But yeah, we just want it to be the best it can be. What I love about our community is that we want this to work. We're not like secret AEW fans that hope this thing fails. We're not secret AEW fans that want this thing to be a disaster. I don't get any benefit from the show being a bit flat. It's not like I get extra views. It's not like I get extra people joining the channel. There is zero benefit to criticize the product. There is no upside. So, like, if we are criticizing it, it's because we feel like it needs to be criticized. It deserves to be criticized. There is something to criticize. So, you know, we're trying to kind of have those conversations, but constantly with a sense of hope that it gets better. And, you know, that's where we are. So SmackDown wasn't very good. I hope that next week will be better. It might not be. So my next hope will be that we get past Mania, we have that clean slate, then it gets better. If it's not then, of course, you know, then we'll hope there'll be some sort of draft that could come in and freshen things up. But, you know, if we drift our way through a summer and it's a bad summer, I mean, we could be looking at 2026 being regarded as a bit of an underwhelming year as well. You don't really want two bad years in a row, really. I'd say at the moment this year is a bit touch and go. I would feel like the general consensus is that this year is better so far. It's an interesting question, that. If you did a poll on X and said, do you think 2026 is better than 2025 so far in WWE? I actually don't know what the answer would be, but I would suspect that it would be more majority yes. This year is better than last year so far. But you might have just inspired me to actually ask that exact question. So I might do that now. I might actually put that up on, because I think that's a really interesting one, which I'd never thought of asking. Do you think 2026 is better than 2025 so far in WWE? Oh, let me reword that. Do you think WWE in 2026 is better than 2025 so far? That's better. That's better worded. Quite simple. Yes. No. Sent. That'll be interesting. I like doing these polls just to get a little gauge as to where we are. So I like doing these polls. So how are people feeling so far? My prediction would be that I think yes would come out on top, but it might not be by loads. It might not be by loads. Okay, let's get a few final thoughts and then we'll wrap this up. Zortz said they raised the expectation in 2024, and since we can't repeat that, lightning in a bottle, it can feel a bit more underwhelming. I think there's something to that as well. Maybe. I mean, I don't know that we're just comparing it to Bloodline. I think we are seeing things like when you watch Jelly Roll against Kit Wilson and the score for that match comes out as good 83. And before it was a tag match of Alexa and Charlotte against the Bellas, and that scores good 80. And, you know, you do a match later that is... I'm trying to think what the match was later. Tiffany and... Who did Tiffany face? Julia. And that came out as good 77 or something, right? Like, this doesn't really matter about Bloodline at this point. I agree with you that overall, big picture, benchmarking, you know, you are comparing to Bloodline if you go back to 23, 24. But I think when it comes to scoring SmackDown, like bad matches are bad matches, load of women talking over each other like Rhea, Jade, Michin and B-Fab did is just a bad segment. And so, you know, Matt Cardona coming down that's got no real connection with a lot of the fans, that's just a bit of a head scratcher. Like, a lot of this stuff doesn't have anything to do with Bloodline. A lot of it is just, you can look at it and go, that's not very good. So, I do agree with you that there's something to it if you go big picture, but I think where you look at each match individually, each segment individually, I think you can gauge it and grade it by its own merit. Ronnie said, for me, WWE is just a bit backwards. I'm a chef, and I can't tell my boss when I cook for 400 reservations that I'm not telling my boss I'm a bit off today, but the guest can criticize my food if I didn't do my job. Okay. The problem is they let Cody finish the story too early. The chase for the babyface, Cody should have waited, says Ronnie. Okay. Big Time said, Days, do we think the wrestlers currently in their 40s are trying to squeeze every last bit of success because they know that time is winding down? Well, I would say yes. You do see people like Becky that kind of goes down to the mid-card. Some of that is their choice where they can say, listen, I'd like to do this, and they can have a say. But to be honest with you, a lot of it is WWE because WWE is a business, and we've spoken a lot on this stream about, honestly, realistically, it is hard to get people over, right? That is not an easy process. Oba makes it look easy, but it is not easy. And so if you do have the luxury of someone getting over, be that a Cody Rhodes, be that a Seth Rollins, be that a Roman Reigns, be that whoever, right? A Becky Lynch, a Rhea Ripley, right? Whoever it is that gets over, WWE would be negligent to not try and get as much out of them as possible because it's so hard to get people over that when you do get people over and they're shifting tickets and they're shifting merch and they're moving needles, you invest in them. So part of it is, you know, obviously people want to get as much out of their careers as they can. But I would argue a larger part is WWE trying to get as much out of those superstars as WWE actually can. And this is where the balance is very difficult because the argument that's as old as time is, well, if you try and get as much out of those people and keep them in the main events, how are you going to bring these people in that are going to need to be in those main events? And this is the challenge, right? This is the how hard it is. But I mean, we've seen the main events changing over recent years. I mean, if you go back, it wasn't long ago that we had the likes of Bobby Lashley, you know, Brock Lesnar, you know, those Braun Strowman, Bray Wyatt, you know, these kinds of names probably around the pandemic were around main events. And now you fast forward like 5 years and we're dealing with some new faces. I mean, Cody only came back at WrestleMania 38. So he's only been back 4 years. So, and for 2 of those years, he was chasing. So actually him being champion and being around has been like 2 years. So he's someone that I would argue has kind of been brought into that main event scene, I would argue relatively recently, compared to a Roman Reigns or a Seth Rollins, who goes, you know, all the way back, like, flipping how long now? 14 years. I mean, Shield debuted in 2012. We're sat here in 2026. So, I mean, they've had like 12 years of being in main events. So Cody's 4, having come back at WrestleMania 38, is something that's a little bit more recent. Obviously, we're trying to get Gunther into there. We know that they were doing the work with Bron Breakker. They tried with Jay. They tried with Damian. They tried with Solo. So they've tried all of those, and it hasn't quite worked. So they have tried things that, you know, have not quite succeeded. So it's hard. The whole thing is hard. But this is why when you've got needle movers, people that bring you ratings, people that sell you merch, people that put butts in seats, like, you want to get as much out of them as you can. So I wouldn't want to be blaming, like, the wrestlers for, like, holding others down, because, yeah, they want to get as much out of their careers as they can, but WWE is certainly trying to get as much out of them as they can as well. And then, you know, it's about drip feeding people into that main event scene. Really what you don't ever see is main event scenes just getting wiped out and just like all new people being chucked up there. Don't really see that. I mean, maybe the steroid trial played a part in that back in 92, where we just couldn't really have Warrior, Hogan, couldn't really have those people anymore because they were all big and jacked, and the steroid trial meant that we couldn't have that. So maybe we saw a bit of that then, but look how difficult that was, because 93, 94, 95, the new generation didn't work. House shows were horrible. There's Raws in sports halls because that time period was so badly received. So when we have kind of cleaned out the division and put a load of like young, exciting prospects in there, their lack of star power has hurt the company, and it's not worked at all. So this is why when you've got people that are getting ratings, you want to stick with them. You want to introduce people where you can by using all the various PLEs and getting people kind of in that mix. You know, using kind of the opening segments of Raw, main events of Raw, B-show PLEs, Saturday night's main events. You know, just keep trying to build them, get them in the mix, make people feel like they belong at that level, and see if you can sort of, you know, raise their profiles. It's a lot of hard work. Edward said Peacock contract expired. NXT PLEs are now on YouTube until they find a new home. Thank you, Butts. Zort said they still keep their other stuff, though, with Jacob. His promos were the same over and over until this week. Big Time said days the existence of AEW also made it hard for WWE to phase out talent, because we know a guy like Adam Copeland, Lashley, they still want some out of their careers. Tyler, hello, my friends. Don't think you're adding scores up correctly. If you have a good 50, you have to add anything above that 50 to the number, and that gives you the total. Yes. Edward said, everyone is intrigued to find out what WWE Club is. Oh, we got some details on that in today's Unseen. I don't know. I'm not sure who Tyler's speaking to. Are you talking to me? You talking to me? Corey said, do we think we could see Naomi return? No, I don't think so. As far as I know, she's not given birth yet. Ronnie said, with the IWC calling out Becky Hogan and Rhea Hogan and Cody Hogan, the fans aren't pushing back on them getting over, but they're forcing them down the throats. I believe Drew is organic and Cody is not, says Ronnie. Big Time said, Days, don't we always need good creative to get young talent to become household names? Well, yes, I would imagine so. Unless you're an Oba. Because, I mean, I don't think there's been too much they've done with him. Oba. I mean, all they've done is have him go out there, have a few squash matches. But, you know, he's just unique. So for most people, yes, of course. You do need good creative to help with that. Carmelo Hayes just got married. Let him enjoy his honeymoon. He hasn't got married. That was engagement. There was pictures doing the rounds that looked like wedding pictures, but they were engagement pictures. Ronnie said, Days, who wins the World Cup? No, you streaming? I think Spain will win it, and I'm not streaming it. No plans to stream it. Okay, I think we're done. I think we are done. Corey said, I thought she gave birth in January. No. The Rikishi did put something out on his podcast kind of saying, like, I'm a grandfather and everything, but it turns out it was not about Naomi. It was about one of his other kids. So, to my knowledge, she has not given birth yet. Who do we think's going to win out of Kendall or Lola? I think, does the winner get a title shot? I might go Lola because she's been around a lot longer and I feel like they've done a lot of stuff with her. So perhaps they'll want to have a look at a title run. Because I don't think JC's going to hold that belt for too much longer. JC's got to be ready to just get... I'll be shocked if JC's not up on the Raw after Mania. Seriously, unless they wait for a draft. If they announce a draft is coming like a week or two after Mania, then maybe she gets called up there. But what else does JC need to do? She's great at promos, great matches. She's been in NXT for flipping ages. We're ready to pass it over. So I love Kendall. She's amazing wrestler. Very excited by her. But I'm okay with Lola, who is maybe a bit further along and has certainly been in NXT a hell of a lot longer. I'd be okay for Lola to get the win. Kendall just falls short. I mean, Kendall could have, like, you know, women's mid-card run first. I don't know that she needs to get to, like, the women's title now. So I'd go Lola personally. Right, anyway, we're done. Appreciate people joining us on this Saturday night. We didn't know quite what to expect, and what we ended up with was something maybe not a thrill ride, maybe not something that is going to live long in the memory, but that opening match definitely was worth tuning in for, and I think we had a very good experience with that. Rest of the show couldn't match it, didn't even get close to it, but at least we got something out of it. So, right, we are back tomorrow with an unseen, as long as there's enough for an unseen. I'd love to get you an unseen. I know last week on Sunday it was very quiet. If there is enough, I will do an unseen. If there isn't, then you will see me on Monday. We'll be back for Raw. It's not just any Raw, right? It's Raw from MSG. So this is going to be big. This is going to be exciting. I think they're going to really pull out all the stops. And so hopefully it should be a really fun episode. So enjoy the rest of your weekends. Appreciate it as always. And yeah, I will see you either tomorrow for Unseen or Monday for Raw. Bye for now.